What up, everybody? We are here for episode 210. Who would have thought that we would have ever made it to this far?
I knew we was gonna make it this far, bro. I knew we was gonna make it this far. Okay, and we're gonna make it even farther than this, even without Rousseau. We got a nice replacement for Rousseau. My man Smoke Pole TV's right here with us. You know what I'm saying? He's just as tall as Rousseau. He's got a real mustache with a real beard. You know what I'm saying? He's fit. And he's also my skin color, so that also works. So he's not going to be making black jokes the whole time against me.
I sure.
You see what I did there?
Well, everybody, we have a couple guests here with us. Well, one of them was with us a couple weeks ago. We missed last week because of Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving with their family. We took the week off. Cash was having seizures and trying to figure out what to do last week. Dude. You're like, I'm bored. What do we do? Like you can still go live. We just don't have truth. We don't have True Tuesday.
This has been a part of my thing, bro. You got to understand something. I just came home from prison almost a year now, right? And it's been scheduled. You know, it's like everything is, it's a schedule. And when you throw my schedule off, I'm like, hold on, wait, something's not right here. You know what I'm saying? It's chow time. Why ain't we at chow right now? You know what I mean?
Oh man,
I get it. So we have a couple guests. We'll get to Smoke in just a minute. We have SK. SK hasn't joined us on Truth Will Set You Free yet. SK, please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are.
Okay.
Just in time.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Is it better now?
We can hear you. You're good.
But you're good.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, my name's SK, and I usually spend most of my time on TikTok. Same username, SK_dub. And I recently started getting active on X, and I'm involved in all things politics.
She's amazing. You guys go give her a follow on all them platforms.
Nice to have you here. It'll be fun. I won't let Cash scare you away. I know Cash can be a little intimidating at times.
Thank you guys for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Smoke, absolutely. Tell them about you, bro. Tell them about you, Smoke.
What's good, man? Smoke Pole TV. I'm the gun guy. I am the unapologetic American black nationalist. I believed in, America first in all forms and fashions. I am not a in-step line supporter of any political figure, but I like what Trump's doing. There's a couple of things that I have some very serious criticisms about that we're going to talk about today. And man, I'm just really just happy to be here with these great group of guys that are very opinionated, and ladies, and just kick the stuff with you guys. So good to be here.
I'm glad you included Cash there.
My name is Cash Kelly. I'm a January 6er. I'm a white Christian nationalist, white male, and I support Israel with everything.
Yeah, that was too much. We had to fix that. We can't do that on here. Like, we just can't.
Oh man!
I need no introduction. You guys know who I am. All right, there's that. Go ahead, Kaecey.
As soon as you said you're Israel, I'm like, all right.
That was good. It ain't even April Fool's yet, dog.
But anyways, we're in for a good show, guys. We have some great topics we're going to be going over. Of course, we're not going to say they're going to be horrible topics, but the main topic we're going to be talking about is Hunter Biden. And the part that I find interesting with this is there's a big mix on, should there have been a pardon? Would you have pardoned your child if you were in that situation? And what is it about a president that can lie and say he's not going to do this action and then turn around and do it? Like, when it comes down to this thing, Cash, I'll start with you. Why is it that a president can lie to all of America and the entire world and be like, I support the justice system, I'm going to do that, but he still ends up pardoning his son?
I mean, look, this is how I'm going to put it, right? I already knew this motherfucker was lying, bro. That's his fluent language. Like, it's his first native tongue right there is lies. You know what I'm saying? Biden lies. We already know that. I shared something about that just the other day. But should he have pardoned his son? Yes, obviously that's his father. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely supposed to get a pardon from him. You know what I mean? So I don't discredit him for that. In fact, I'll say that the only thing that Biden does truly love is Hunter, because he's been great towards Hunter his whole life. He doesn't so much love the country that well, because he's willing to look you in the face and tell you he ain't gonna do something and turn around and do it. But then again, he's being true to being a Democrat, because that's what Democrats do. You know what I'm saying? Democrat politicians will say, hey, we're gonna do this, and then they go and do that. You know, they throw the rock and then they hide their hand. You know what I'm saying? So what does it say about him? It says what it's been saying about him. I mean, he's a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, 50 years in the game, ain't did shit president. And yeah, I'm not shocked at all. I'm not shocked at all. SK, what you think?
I agree. I think that if it were my kid, I would probably pardon them too. I mean, I think they need consequences, but it also probably depends on how much of a criminal you are too. You know what I mean? And I think that he's covering up for his whole family. I think his brother will be probably next to be pardoned. And yeah.
I agree. Smoke?
I believe, and this might tie into one of your shows the other night. I believe in Biden's original words. No one is above the law. When people grant you the highest office in the land as president, and you're out of your word, out of your mouth before all of this happened, is no one's above the law. And you set up laws that, you know, prosecute people and send people to prison that are sell it. Because I seen those pictures and I seen the piles. Those weren't used. That wasn't usable drugs. He almost looked like a dealer. You know what I mean? And especially just coming from my background, seeing what he was involved with the guns. And I like to be careful on what I say in the words, especially starting this early. The pictures I seen did not look like just a casual user of things. It looked serious. And when your words are no one is above the law, you got to hold everybody to the same standard. When you are in the office of the highest office of the land, then you have to, I don't care if it's family, anybody. You can't be a pastor and then put your family over God. You understand what I'm saying? You can't be the leader of this free country and then put your family over this country. You take an oath to put this country first. And that's what I believe in. I think it's just outrageously, and it's really sickening. I know that SK is going to have some information about this, but I really strongly believe that it has a lot to do with why we're at war right now. And that's the part that I think where my opinion matters so much.
Well, you know, here's the thing though. Here's the thing, right? You're supposed to pardon a turkey on Thanksgiving. He pardoned his son. Not just that, people will give some pushback, and then they'll say, well, this is what the Democrats are saying right now. Well, it's different now because, you know, everything that Trump is doing and everybody he's bringing into his cabinet, they were going to target him and bend him over the coals, just like they did the J6s. You mean like that? Is that what you're talking about? Because if that was the case, hey, it is what it is. You let it happen to a whole bunch of regular Americans and war heroes and grandmas and mothers and fathers and sons. Why not let it happen to Hunter? You know what I'm saying? The one thing I will say about Trump is Trump's telling you what he's going to do straight from the gate. He's telling you, hey, I'm letting y'all know I'm getting ready to run for president. When I get in, I'm pardoning all the J6ers. He didn't hide the fact. He let everybody know this is what you're voting for. And I guarantee you, if Biden would have said when they asked him, hey, you going to pardon your son? And he would have said yes, well, people would have probably had a little more respect for him. You know what I'm saying?
He couldn't do that because they would have tied him directly into this Ukraine conflict that we're involved in right now. He can't do that.
But now he's in Kaecey's words. What Kaecey said, he's a lame duck. Go ahead, Kaecey.
Yeah, facts. He is a lame duck. Like this is exactly it. Free, thanks for throwing it in the comments. Is we're talking about a president that is doing something. And by the way, I'm going to step back from the word president because it's not him doing this. This is Joe Biden or somebody else in office that is doing this. Joe Biden has no idea what he's signing, what he's doing. It's just happening. So when it comes down to this entire thing, yes, would I pardon my son? No doubt. I see all the libertarians and free and those in the chat that I see you. Yes, everybody would pardon them, their son. And I believe that would also apply Democrats, Republicans, all of the same. However, the problem I have with this, and Cash, you alluded to this on one of your shows, is I have a problem with politicians lying to Americans. You are elected to represent Americans, and you have habitually and thrown it out the window that you don't even care about anything Americans say because you just lied straight to their face and said, I will not. I trust the judicial system. I do this, and I will not pardon my son. And then what did he do on a random weekend? No one expected it. All of a sudden, it's on whitehouse.gov that he pardoned Hunter Biden.
Yeah. I mean, I feel you, my bro. I'm just going to say, though, again, I'm not shocked at all by this, bro, because think about it. Think about it. He was convicted. It's a blanket pardon. Like, this shit is excusing anything that he could be convicted of.
How many years?
For forever, right?
No, it's like 10 years. 10
well,
years.
It's 11.
Well, Cash, let me use it. Well, it could be 11. Cash, let me use this example in your situation. You have a 10-year difference between when you went through the system and when you actually were caught, when you were dealing with the judicial system directly, which means law enforcement and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you don't get a pardon. You just get 10 years held accountable for that. Hunter Biden is now completely excused from that. How does that?
Trump does the same thing, man. Get this felony up off me, Trump. Do the same thing for every J6er, regardless if they got a criminal history or not. Give us 10 years prior and 10 years in the future. That way, the next time we got to storm the Cap, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke. We're not going back to the Capitol, okay? That was a joke, FBI.
We're going back to the Capitol, but we're not doing it like that.
Yeah. But no, man, real talk, though. Get this felony up off me, man. If he could do it for his son, you could do it for Americans that took a stand that day for all of us. You know, we took a stand for the Constitution. We took a stand for the people that was being horribly mistreated by the other side. Rules for thee and not for me. Those people. Yeah. So yeah, issue a blanket pardon. I'm cool with it. You want to pardon Hunter? I'm totally fine with it. I'd have did the same thing. I'd be like, yo, this is my son. Right off the bat, I'd have told people my son ain't doing no time. I'm gonna say that right now. I'll handle him when he gets home, but I'm giving him that pardon. You know what I'm saying? Right. So do the same thing for the J6ers.
SK, you were gonna jump in. What do you want to add to that?
No, I was just going to say Hunter Biden's pardon goes from January 1st of 2014 through December 2nd of 2024. So it's just 1 month shy of 11 years. And the pardon for Nixon was only from the day he took office in 1969 until the day he retired. And that was for the Watergate scandal. So it goes even further than that. And on top of that, whenever you start looking at why it is he chose January 1st of 2014, the first payment that was received by Hunter Biden from a foreign government was February 14th of 2014, and it was from Elena Baturina from Russia.
Man,
right.
That's I'm sorry to cut in, but that's the key. That's the kicker right there.
Yep. And I have all the totals of every country.
So when we're talking about Russia,
research, just so you know, Kaecey, beast at research. Any numbers you want?
Well, and I read all of the transcripts. I had the transcripts for the Delaware case emailed to me every day at the end of trial, and I read them out loud on TikTok Lives. So I know all of the testimonies. So I knew immediately after the FBI agent testified in Delaware about the authenticity of the laptop and that there was no tampering. I know how it is that the investigators in these cases have been given their information. The FBI hasn't just handed over the entire iCloud account. They are picking and choosing. So they give Delaware what they think is relevant to their case. They give California what they think is relevant to their case. They're not just handing over the whole entire content.
Smoke, what do you think?
I just feel like, man, what she just said is the whole reason, because now you're talking about American lives that are affected. When we're on the verge and on the brink of, war and people are dying, and you're pardoning somebody at a strategic level to where, all of the corruption, you follow the money, you find the corruption. And when we go to that distance and that time, man, this is where, it becomes something that is bigger than just your brother. It's not you're pardoning your brother for sniffing a little dope or whatever he's doing. It's so much deeper than that. You know, that's what it seems like on the surface value. But when you go further and you start to look into the details of how long that the pardon goes for and how long back it goes for, it makes it so, man, incredibly criminal that we're into this conflict.
Okay.
Facts.
And you guys have to remember, he wasn't just using, I don't know what we're allowed to say on here. He wasn't just using the substance, the smokable Coca-Cola is what I call it on TikTok. He calls it chicken in his text messages. But he wasn't just using that. He got to a point where he got so paranoid, he thought he wasn't getting quality enough smokable Coca-Cola or chicken, as he calls it, that he started asking for the real soft stuff. And he was only getting pure Coca-Cola. And then in the chateau in Beverly Hills, he was himself cooking it into smokable Coca-Cola.
So I'm trying to tell y'all that stuff that they found in the White House was either Hunter Biden's or Kamala Harris's. I'm convinced.
Can we go with
that's pretty obvious.
Can we go with both?
They were doing it together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what is Hunter Biden doing it with his dad? No, only on debate night. That's how Joe Biden was able to show up. But when it comes down to this whole thing, we all know that everything was tied to Hunter or Kamala or the Democratic Party in general, which all of this stuff is coming out.
Yeah.
And Free said it right, the devil's in the details. Like I agree with this. And when it comes down to Hunter Biden being pardoned, that is not the concern from my standpoint, and I'm seeing it with a lot of others, is he can be pardoned by his father, sure. But the lying to America by his father, and then the justification of what's going on, the part that I find interesting, though, and I'm curious on all of your thoughts, when we pardon Hunter Biden all the way back to 2014, does that pardon Joe Biden from his involvement at all in receiving payments for Burisma?
No.
No.
And I think, as a matter of fact, it pretty much prevents Hunter Biden from pleading the fifth because he can't incriminate himself.
Correct.
So that means if he gets called in and he gets called in to testify, he's not going to be able to say, I plead the fifth. He's going to have to testify. So there's going to have to be a lot of pardons coming up because, you know, June 5th of 2024, Congress sent a letter to Garland and Weiss referring Hunter Biden and James Biden for prosecution for making false statements to Congress and perjury. So they haven't picked them up and actually charged them, obviously, because, you know, this government isn't going to do that. But there's going to be more pardons coming. He's for sure going to pardon his brother. His brother is an absolute criminal. The entire family. Comparing the Trump family to the Biden family is, I mean, the Biden family is absolute trash in comparison to the Trump family.
I don't see him pardoning his brother, bro. There's no way. If he
has
pardons his
to.
brother,
He has to.
Okay,
He
but
has
if
to.
he does, it's gonna let everybody know what it is, and then they're gonna have no choice. He's gonna be the one that they go after, and unless this is him, just like, you know what, I'm gonna take the bullet for everybody because I'm gonna die one day soon anyway because I'm already old as shit. So it could be that. It could be that. But I'm not sure. And to piggyback with the stark difference between the Trump family and the Biden family, I just want to say this. One family has been a part of the party of slavery for forever. And the other party, who is white, his family ancestry ain't never owned slaves. That's all I want to point that out real quick. The Trump family has never owned slaves. You heard it right here on Truth to Set You Free from a black mouth, okay? The Trump family, their ancestry has never owned slaves. Just throw it one more time. Never owned slaves. Okay, go ahead.
So when it comes to this whole situation, I love how you guys are picking the extremes. Can I pick one more extreme that we can compare to the Biden family? Where does the Biden family sit compared to the Clinton family?
Oh,
they about neck and neck. They neck and neck.
I still think the Bidens have, well, depending on the
hell
death.
no.
See, here's the thing though. The Clintons are actually smart. Like, their crimes are more intelligent and in-depth and bigger as far as that goes. The Bidens are just dumb. I mean, like, real dumb. Like, they could have been making so much more money if they were smarter.
The Bidens use white privilege. That's what they do. The Bidens use white privilege to the maximum, where the Clintons is just like, Listen, peasant, you'll never be able to prove that I did anything at all. I don't recall.
I think the Clintons have more egregious stuff under their belt.
Yes.
You know, whereas, you know, I think you said it best, SK, is that like the Bidens are just ghetto. The Bidens are super ghetto, man. Like it's just super ratchet, the stuff that's coming up, but it's ratchet in a very serious criminal way. The ratchetness kind of overshadows the severity of these serious things. Like people are so excited about the crack and the drugs and stuff, but when you really go into the details, like we were kind of discussing, it's like the level of it just totally overshadows the surface value of things, you know. And that's kind of, I think, the difference. Whereas the Clintons, man, they're very smart, and they are man, they're deep. They're
decades. They are decades and decades and decades deep. Their crimes go all the way back to Arkansas. Yeah. I mean, if you don't know, look up Mena, Arkansas Airport. Just saying.
Look up them two boys that passed away on the railroad tracks. We're gonna leave that alone, though. We're gonna leave that alone too. But the Bushes, boy, you talk about corruption. They up there with the Clintons.
Well, the Bushes are doing.
Matter of fact, the Bushes are masterful. They are masterful criminals.
No, I don't know if we can compare them to the Clintons. Though.
No,
dude, you want stupid. You talk to the Bush family.
No. George Bush plays stupid. That man is smart as hell, bro. He plays dumb. Don't think that man's stupid. He's smart as hell. He is one smooth criminal, bro.
No. I think they just know. All they do is they just know Obama's paddleboard holder guy. That's all it is. The Bush family just knows people.
If you look up George Bush, bro, and his history, right? His coming up and everything. He's always been smart as fuck, bro, and an intellectual. It wasn't until he became the president where he started playing dumb. I'm trying to tell you, he changed completely. He changed completely when he became the president and started playing the dumb farmer. You know?
But here's the thing. You're talking about one member of the Bush family.
Papa Bush was smart as hell. What you mean?
Wasn't he in the CIA?
Yes, he was the head of the CIA when Kennedy got assassinated.
Oh, jeez. Like
exactly. That's what I was gonna say, because I was gonna say their level of crime is like on, you know, like the Clintons, except I don't think it's as extensive. I think it's more, I thought I was doing the right thing, just, you know, doing my intelligence thing. I don't think that they were actually trying to commit crimes to personally benefit. That's my distinction between the Clintons and the Bushes.
Look into the Clintons.
Right there in the comments. Right there. That is it.
Saying, bro. That's what I'm
saying.
Idiot.
Yes. And that's what I was going to bring up.
Played it. He played that role. He was not. I'm telling you. Look, I looked it up, bro. I read a lot about George Bush. That man was smart as shit going through school. He didn't even talk the way that he talks now. The way that he was talking when he was president, he never spoke like that. He never spoke like that, bro. When he became the president, I don't. Yeah. That's
man, if politics was a video game, then I think that the Clintons would be like Master Splinter once you get to the end. Like, you know, I don't think it would be Bush. I think it would be. I want to say Bill, but I even think that Hillary might be like that last monster you fight at the end. If politics was a video game, that's
the final boss.
Yeah, she would be like the boss, like
Bowser.
the tentacles and everything,
like
bro. Like, stuff. I don't think anybody beats the Clintons because, man, when you look into their situation, it is devious, bro.
Yeah, facts. No. That's all the way around. We can't forget about the kids from Haiti. You know, we can't forget about what they did there and how they helped that lady get up out of prison that was caught trafficking children. I'm just saying that happened. It's real.
It's real.
You also can't forget the Cheney family because they're up there too.
Yes.
Cheney worked for Halliburton and he got into office. Halliburton got a $7 billion no bid contract right before the war broke out. Like they are not good either. They are definitely warmongers. The left was calling them war criminals and calling for him to be prosecuted. And then they were all cheering that he endorsed Kamala Harris for this election. And it's like, if you're older than like 30, you should know why it is that he was endorsing them because that's how he makes his money.
You guys warmed my heart tonight, bro. You guys, ladies, you guys and gentlemen, you guys warmed my heart tonight because one thing that this proves, this conversation, is that all of you guys are very free thinkers. You're not just gonna paint somebody as an angel just because they're on a certain political party. I really appreciate and respect what you guys are saying tonight, man. A whole bunch, man.
Well, just some insight. I voted for 5 political parties just a month ago. So I'm not loyal to one political party. It's the right person for the job. But Cash, for you to say this individual is smart and he says this stupid thing with a freaking microphone in his face, I have no idea.
Shame on you.
Saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once. Shame on
me.
Shame on you.
Fool twice can't be fooled again.
If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Yeah, right? I thought you say this is an intelligent human being?
You're playing a role, bro. Listen, Kaecey, I've been saying this. The world is a stage, my brother. The world is a stage. Don't you ever forget me telling you that. That man went through Skull and Bones. He plays the role. You know how I know he plays the role? Because of what goes on with Skull and Bones. You got to play a role. You have to. You have your role and you play it. Know your role and shut your mouth. That's it. That's what he did.
Al, we cannot add you to
He's an actor.
No.
Yes, I'm telling you, bro. Look up his younger years, and you tell me that's the same George Bush you just seen on stage.
Dude, this guy
is playing the dumb role like I don't know what's going on. I don't. Hold on, wait, SK. Listen, hold on. I don't know what the fuck's going on right now, but that's George Bush. That's George Bush. That's the role. Go ahead, SK.
No, I was just gonna say, he did Coca-Cola and drank a lot whenever he was younger as well. And also, I thought you were going to play the clip of him saying, "I'm not a rocket surgeon."
A rocket surgeon.
I can play that one too.
Yeah, exactly my point. Do you think someone that graduated from, was it Yale?
Yes.
Yale, bro, with a family as prestigious as his, do you think that he is slow to where he doesn't know between a rocket scientist and a rocket surgeon? No, he's playing a role, bro. He acted dumb as the country got looted by the Cheney.
Here's the thing. If 81 million votes can get submitted for a brain dead potato, he's not playing. They put him in that place because he's an idiot.
Look what your boy said.
Were there?
I disagree with Free on this one. Like
put
it
in the chat. Everybody put it in the chat. Do you think that George Bush is playing a role, or he's really that stupid? Do you think that a man graduated from Yale?
Dumb. I agree with authentically stupid.
I'm telling you, I don't see it.
I agree with Cash. He's not stupid at all.
He is. Everybody, like, for him to say the stupid shit, he got in a microphone, and then all of a sudden, this is why America was so excited when they got Obama right after George Bush. Is you had this elegant speaker immediately following this dumbass, and
he was playing a role. That man was playing a role. He pretended like he was from America the whole time that he was president, bro.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? He pretended to be a Christian. He was playing a big role. He pretended to be in a heterosexual relationship. He was playing a role the whole time.
So, Cash, you're really thinking that these people were so dumb that they were told to go up and say, and they were just like, well, I'm going to go do it.
No, they were told the character that they got to play. Look, you got to act stupid because what we're about to do to America, you can't have no answers for.
And listen, you guys have to think about this. Some of the smartest people I know, I say some really dumb shit, okay? And some of the smartest people I know they say dumb shit.
I don't disagree with that.
You gotta think about it.
Guys, I apologize. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. My daughter just got here and she's only stopping to say hi.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're good. So SK, go ahead. Keep going.
No, I was just going to say some of the smartest people I know say some really dumb shit. Some of the smartest people I know have zero common sense. I'm glad I got both. I do know some people that are extremely book smart with zero common sense, which book smart does you no good if you have
that does not mean they're smart. That means they're dumb.
Yes.
And if you put the microscope on anybody, especially when everyone's attached to every word that you say, I mean, the more dumb stuff that they can pull out of you. But I think Bush Sr. was a lot more intelligent. I think he was a respectable guy. But when it comes to Bush Jr., I don't think it's a far stretch to say he lacked a little bit of presidential intelligence.
I think the intelligence had to be split between him and Jeb, and that's why we have half a human being between both of them. The Bush family is not intelligent. They are just awful.
I didn't say the Bush family. I said George Bush and Papa Bush are very intelligent.
I
Jeb
think the
and
women
George are the
smarter.
same.
His daughters are really smart. His wife is smart. I think the women are smarter, to be honest.
Hey,
Well,
is it
because
just
they
me or-
didn't come from the Bush family.
I'm sorry, I got to point this out, but I've always thought this, and I could be wrong, and this is for entertainment purposes on the YouTube and Facebook. I think the Bushes are incest, and I really believe that they're like the cousins of the Queen of England, because the Queen of England looks like the Bushes, what used to anyway. I know for sure she looks like Papa Bush now, but they all looked alike.
Yeah,
George Bush Sr. and Barbara Bush. Was that a name?
Yeah, Barbara. Yeah.
They look like cousins, bro, brothers and sisters or something. I think that they was.
Have you heard of genes and things follow?
I've heard of society keeping it in the family. I've heard of that.
Nobody does that.
Bloodline. Listen, we got to keep the bloodline pure. We can't let any of them darkies in. You never know who you're sleeping with. We
left the UK and Great Britain for a reason.
If anybody's gonna marry my sister, it's gonna be me. I feel like they're like that.
Oh my goodness. I do have a question. Speaking of the CIA, how do you guys feel about finding out all about the collusion with the CIA and Joe Biden's campaign? Anthony Blinken, as a matter of fact, also why we're all in the middle of this Ukraine and Russia stuff. So how do you guys feel about all of that?
I ain't heard about it.
Yeah, tell us about it.
About the laptop stuff with Hunter Biden and how it was all suppressed because the FBI was saying, well, there was a statement that was released 2 days before the debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden in October of 2020. And the statement said that it was Russian disinformation, and it was signed by 51 former intelligence agents. And then it was sent to Gina Haspel, the head of the CIA, and then to the PCRB, the pre-publication classification review board, to be approved for release to the public. And during testimony in Congress, the guy that wrote the statement said that he wrote the statement with two intents. He was trying to help Joe Biden with the debate with Donald Trump, and he was trying to get Joe Biden elected. And the only reason he wrote this statement is because Anthony Blinken called him, and Anthony Blinken was working for Biden's campaign at the time. So Anthony Blinken is involved in all this. I bet he gets a pardon somewhere because he got Secretary of State. I mean, he's our current Secretary of State. You've got all this money coming in from these foreign governments. You've got the $80,000 diamond, which I don't think it's worth $80,000. I mean, all of these things, the level of corruption in our government, and that's why I followed this so close, is people would say, why do you care about Hunter Biden? I'm like, I don't give a shit about Hunter Biden. I don't care if to be honest with you, I didn't think he should have been prosecuted in Delaware. I think that whole form is unconstitutional. But they charged him with the very least of crimes that they possibly could to make it look like they were actually pursuing justice, because that laptop is completely full. There's 459 documented crimes on that laptop.
That's crazy.
And it is unbelievable. I mean, mind blowing. And the text messages between Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and the inappropriate stuff that was going on between Hunter Biden and his niece. I mean, this family is messed up.
The money laundering, like there's so much money, like Ukraine is a cesspool of money laundering and like
allegedly
governmental corruption. And with them being able to, that's why it's just so disgusting, his pardon, because it implicates so many reasons why we're even involved in this conflict at all, like, and why we haven't turned our back and why we're full steam ahead. Now I've heard a lot of like rumor as far as how close we are to, nuclear conflict. And it is getting to the point where I feel like things are being escalated and sped up to prevent, Trump from being able to negotiate. So I think that things are getting pushed along even faster to try to sweep all the stuff that SK is talking about under the rug, because when Trump gets in, I think a lot of this stuff is going to come further to the surface, and they don't want that. I don't think that they want that.
I agree.
I don't disagree entirely with that. Now, I think the system is starting to see that it's falling apart. Like, you can't tell me somebody that ran a political campaign got slaughtered, but the Democratic Party has been around for so long, and now they are just stripping out 2/3 of their people that helped run their campaigns and everything part of the Democratic Party. They fired them all. I think they are trying to do a reset and re-push it out. Like, they have no choice. They have to pull everything out and restart over, and hopefully catch the other side off their game. I don't see it happening, but when it comes down to where we are at with the corrupt system, that is where I think a lot of the appointees that Donald Trump has done for his cabinet, I think it was great. I don't like that he pulled back on Matt Gaetz. I think Matt Gaetz should have stayed. But when it comes down to the other appointees, they're okay. Marco Rubio can go. He is an establishment Republican. He doesn't need to be there. And we're getting into the topic that I'm remembering, which is all of the appointees from Trump's cabinet. There are so many question marks, but in my opinion, a lot of great people were picked, and it's causing fear. And the latest one is Kash Patel being assigned to the FBI. And how long have we seen these rumors for the last 3 weeks, almost a month at this point, that he is going to be over the FBI? I think that we're going to start seeing people being put in place, and you're going to expose everybody in Congress that is supposed to vote and approve his appointees. You're going to start seeing those people call themselves out. Do you guys see that it's going to be going down that path, or do you guys see it differently?
No, I see it exactly like that. I think that each one of these plays is strategic, to be honest with you. Trump ain't no dummy, bro. And we've all learned that. Trump is no dummy, and everything that he does has a purpose behind why he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. So all these different appointees, people might have their opinions about it. Like, why is it happening? Why is he picking these people? Maybe it's for that reason. Maybe it's for them to, maybe he's picking them people like the lady that's going to be over, what is it? The medical stuff. The one that was super in support of the jab and super in support of all kind of crazy stuff, right? Maybe him appointing her and picking her is to see what people are, what they're going to do inside of Congress, and all this stuff come to light about all the stuff that she was promoting.
I think it's more about negotiations. I feel like it's more about, like, you know, I get RFK if you get somebody that's more, you know, establishment. I feel like there's negotiations taking place. And I think the only reason that some of our senators are switching and kind of pivoting and saying, oh yeah, well, we'll go ahead and support this appointment is because, you know, we've been putting out action alerts saying, contact your senators, tell them you want them to confirm all of these appointments. And people are doing it. Like, in my state, our senators have already started to pivot and say, yeah, we're going to vote to confirm these people.
You know, I want to just jump in right here because, you know, there's a lot of people in my community, as far as the gun community, that are really ticked off. They're pissed off, and they look at it a totally different way. In a sense, like, you have Pam Bondi. These are people that were Democrats in 2000. These aren't people like, and if you look at Trump is not just the most solid guy where he's just, you know, he's sitting on this side of the issue. He's a businessman. And when people say he's a businessman, he's not a politician. Businessmen are politicians. So whatever sways business the right way and whatever influences things the certain way is what they typically go with. Now, with that being said, like, this person is, one, a Democrat back in 2000, secondarily was in support of some terrible things as far as like the Second Amendment, and as far as due process, like the stuff that you were talking about on your last show, Cash, when it comes to due process. This is a woman that they're putting in as an attorney general that believes in skipping that whole process. You know, skipping, let's take your guns and then worry about it later. Like, man, this stuff is totally backwards. And when you have a president, now again, I really like Trump, But at the same time, I'm no dummy. Like, I'm not one of those people that are really into personalities where I'm just a fan of everything he's saying, man, because this guy was not for this. And I believe that the Second Amendment is the foundation of being able to support and defend all of the other amendments and all of the other rights that we have. So when you start playing with that and you put people like Pam Bondi in there, yeah, she's hot. She got a pretty rack. But when it comes down to it, man, I'm in no way support. And all of that negotiation stuff, that just means you're like a wet noodle. You'll be this way if you're in front of these people. You'll be this. And when it comes to gun rights, I am not non-wavering. I feel like, man, when you start jumping into those things, it rubs me the wrong way. So it really concerned a lot of people in the gun community, because we're like, man, it was a lot of us that got you elected. It was a lot of us that persuaded a lot of black people to vote for Trump that was totally against it. But when you get into the details of it and you start seeing what he's been supporting, she was about taking people's gun without due process. That's a lot of what happened with you guys. You know,
I don't know nothing about this lady. I gotta look into her.
Yeah, I will warn you. Pam Bondi holds a lot of chords when it comes to being scared from a 2A perspective. Like, Pam Bondi is not that person, and most of you in the chat here and have been following it, not on X, but all of you on YouTube and Facebook that have followed us for a while, but know that this is my main criticism of Donald Trump, is his Second Amendment. He is getting away with a lot because of his son, Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr., you don't get a bigger 2A guy than him. And he's getting away with a lot, even though he's taking away people's rights. My biggest beef with Donald Trump is the bump stocks. Like, he really took that away, and he just was like, oh, it's not a problem. Sign. If you're 2A,
suppressors, same thing. He did the same. He suggested. He
hasn't pulled it on suppressors yet.
He has.
Same with red.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, and then I'm gonna let you go, SK. Here's the thing. You have on one side, you got people that want to take away your guns completely. The left, they want you to not have anything but a handgun.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying,
they don't even want that.
Exactly. But then you got Trump. You're never going to be satisfied with every decision that's made. But I'll tell you this: I trust Trump more than I trust any of them damn Democrats. And like I said, it's a reason why he's doing what he's doing. And I don't think it's directly tied into business. I believe that he gives a damn about the American people and what's best for the American people.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So there's something that we ain't seen yet that I feel that he will, clarify as time goes on, of why he did what he did, why he picked who he picked, and what's going to happen. You never know. That lady might have stuck.
What's scary is what's scary about Pam Bondi is that
real quick, Smoke. Hold fast. I want to let SK go because she's been getting stopped. So SK, and then we'll go to you, Smoke.
Oh, people were saying in the chat, I was going to say the red flag laws, because in debating, I debated every single day on TikTok for like 11 months leading up to this election. And that's whenever the Democrats would come in, they would think they would, have something on you when they'd say, well, is there anything that you don't like about Donald Trump? And I'd be like, yep, I don't like his 2A stance. I didn't like the fact that he banned bump stocks. I didn't like the fact that he even proposed a nationwide red flag law. And I didn't like the fact that he was talking about First Amendment rights and the fact that he thinks people should be thrown in prison for burning the flag. If you support free speech, you support hate speech, that means that you have to fight. If you're truly a constitutionalist, I'm a constitutionalist and I'm a 2A absolutist. If you are going to be in favor of the First Amendment, that means you're fighting for speech that you hate. If you're not fighting for speech that you hate, you are not fighting for free speech, period.
Facts.
Big facts.
Go ahead, Smoke.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll jump in. Go, Smoke.
Okay, just wanted to say one thing that's really quick and really concerning about Pam Bondi. She's in freaking Florida. This is the easiest place to be a pro-gun person in Florida. Like, you're not losing rights. You're not losing votes by being pro-2A. If you're in Florida and you're a politician, being pro-2A is like saying, hey, kids like candy. It's like saying water's wet, fire's hot. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and Pam Bondi concerns me from a red flag laws. Here's where I will give a little bit of a red pill / some where I have converted to where I have voted red for the first time ever in my life. I have never voted blue for president. And the only reason why I voted for Donald Trump is some of the statements that he said, he learned by the people he surrounded him with in 2016 that he selected the wrong people. He picked them based upon their experience and that they're going to come in and everybody's going to work well together. Turns out he still picked some bad people in the government that shouldn't be there.
I disagree.
You don't? You
I
don't think he picked bad people?
I agree.
I don't think that he picked no bad people yet. Let's wait and see. People
I said in 2016,
Cash. Oh, in 2016. Yeah, I thought you meant right now.
No, okay. 2016. All right. He said he acknowledged he put some wrong people or did not remove them from their position in his last presidency. Yes. Between that and when he got shot in the face was my deciding factor. Is I'm like, okay, I have more trust in you. You learned your lesson and you are most likely to win. I'm going to support that.
I'm going to say the people that he picked that people ain't too crazy about, right? I feel you based off of the things that they've said and done before, or things that they may have promoted before back in the past, right? Like you said, in 2000, these people was Democrats, right? True enough, but people are entitled to change. Like you look at Vernon Jones. Vernon Jones came out in heavy support of Trump in 2020. He was a lifelong Democrat and he was from Georgia, and he switched up and became a part of the Republican Party. So people can change and then start implementing things that are common sense. They're like, okay, I'm listening to the people that are my constituents, and this is what they want. So I'm not going to count all these people out. I wasn't a fan of Rubio. I'm still not a fan of Rubio, but shit, maybe he's going to come out and surprise me.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
And let me correct something, because there's something in the chat that I want to correct that somebody's saying. One of the things that, man, anybody who thinks that Florida's, I live in Miami, you know, have for like the last like almost 10 years. Anybody who, in Parkland, when Parkland happened, that was something that changed that county, that changed that district to where there was a little bit of debate, little bit of difficulty for pro-2 gun people to get elected and that didn't want to do anything. This is where I understand, like, you know, after an event like Vegas and the bump stock thing, like, I get it. Some people are not as unwavering as myself and other people, but to say Florida was anything other than pro-2A is like, that's not true. No, even after Parkland, the majority of people in Florida, whether it's especially North Florida, the further north you get, the even more it gets pro-2A. You know, down here it's like a foreign country in Miami because you got so many different type of people and cultures. So it has a little bit of sway this the way, that way. But once you talk about the whole state is definitely very, very pro-2A, even after Parkland.
And Free, I'm surprised you're throwing this out, man. Like 2018 is when Parkland happened. So in 2018, 2023 is just when you got permitless carry.
Right.
Like you can't say that you are not pro-gun when 5 years after that incident, you no longer have to have a permit to carry a gun in Florida.
I'm going to ask my cousin.
And shouldn't have to have a permit anywhere.
Just Google
it. Ask my cousin about how it is down there.
You're bringing up a really important point because, see, that's something that Trump supported. Trump had supported I think it was called what was it called? It was something where your permit was valid throughout different states, and it was something that he proposed where if you had a concealed, I'm sorry,
it's the reciprocity.
Yes, the reciprocity. So it was something that, like, he's done a lot of positive things for 2A, but again, I believe that as a businessman does, you know, you kind of sway with the wind. He's not as non-negotiating as me and SK are. Where it's like, man, this is what I believe in. Even when bad things happen, this is what I believe in.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Free, we're gonna have to debate this a little bit because you're in a different stance, and what Free does shows too, and we'll bring Free on. I think we need an exclusive show about this because Free, I get what he's saying. No open carry, 21 to buy. However, there has been progress since the biggest shooting in Florida, which was Parkland, to move to being more 2A. It's been moving that direction. It's not going the other direction.
I think that y'all are missing it, though. It's not saying that Florida doesn't have a bunch of citizens that are pro 2A, but the government down in Florida is not. The government down in Florida is not pro 2A. Plain and simple. The officials down there are not pro 2A. They're just not.
Then why are we saying it's the super red state of the country?
Yeah, and I disagree with that.
In certain instances, because they're super red does not mean that they got to be 2A.
My state is the reddest state in the entire country, and we have open carry constitutional carry. We have legal medical MJ. You can carry your pew pew to go to get your MJ.
You in
and
Texas? Where you
have
at?
them both.
Texas is
Oklahoma.
not free.
Where you at?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma is the only red state that completely voted red in 2024.
At least three. I know for a fact 3 in a row. It's been solid red. But here's the thing, though. We have a whole network of people. Liberty is what we're all about. And we have a whole like grassroots group. And whenever there are bills that are coming up for a vote, if we don't like them or if we, do like them, we send out action alerts. We contact everyone and say, okay, everybody needs to call these senators and tell them to vote yes or to vote no. And I'm trying really hard to try to get this to happen on a national level because it's easy at the state level. You have so much more control over your state and local government than you do the federal government, which is number one, why the federal government needs to be smaller and the states need more power, because whenever the states have more power, that means that the people have more power. And I hate it whenever people bring up stupid shit like slavery. There are constitutional amendments for that. I mean, nobody's going back to slavery. That's not what this is about. This is about the people having control of their state. The people in my state are different than the people in New York and they're different than the people in California. So what it is we want here is not going to be the same as what they want in New York or California or Illinois or wherever. And that's why we are 50 separate states together under a federal government. Big
facts. Go ahead, Cash.
No, I can't follow that. That's good.
I really want to figure out how to get this to work on a national level. It's really
how you get it to work?
Level.
Well, this adds another good credit to Trump, right? Is that I think his biggest contribution to what we're talking about right now was his federal judge appointments. You know what I mean? The people that he put in position as the federal judges are definitely pro 2A and have proven that through their vote. And I think that's one of the reasons we haven't seen even further encroachments on the Second Amendment, is my personal opinion. Because, I don't want to go through the list of who they are, but because you guys are familiar, but I think that was the saving grace of why I'm still such a Trump supporter in that sense.
Thank you, Leanne. I've seen you twice. I appreciate you, Leanne. You guys are right. But like I said, there's more to it than the 2A, man, that's on the table right now with the way that they're trying to do this country. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to take the guns totally. That's off the table. Trump ain't never gonna let that happen. And neither are the people that he's appointed. I promise you that. If old girl Bondi or whatever,
we won't let that happen.
If she tries to step out of line, she'll get fired. If she don't go along with the agenda, honest to God, what I really think is I think that Trump got a lot of people in there that are going to listen to what he wants to be done. That's what I believe. Everybody that he brought in there, they're going to do exactly what it is.
Can I correct you?
Trump's agenda.
I'm going to correct you.
Go for it.
Should we be looking to a president for what their agenda is, or should we be looking at who their constituents and the representatives of the citizens should really want?
I mean,
we have to correct this speech. We can't be saying what one person wants.
No, you're not correcting me. That's not a correction, because exactly what I mean is Trump's running a business. America's business. Trump doesn't have shit to do with what happens in your state, bro. He doesn't got shit to do with what happens in my state. Our state, now you want to talk to your state officials about shit? Cool. But the people that Trump is appointing ain't got shit to do with your state. We're talking about federal crimes, federal laws, things that are going to be passed through for all of America. That's it. Tell all be all. It's not going to violate the constitutional right. That's it. He's not taking away nobody's 2A.
Donald Trump took away my right to buy a bump stock.
Bro.
We got it back. His Supreme
he
Court,
took it away. He took it away.
But hold
on. Did he take away your gun?
This is
where
the Brewer decision. Hold on. No, hell no. Hold on. Did he take away your guns?
He took away my rights.
Did he take away your guns?
Well, Cass, what you're missing is federal law trickles down to the state level. Like, for example, the Bruin decision. Bruin decision allowed everyone to conceal carry in states that were very anti-gun, right? So what happens federally definitely has a huge, especially when it comes to guns, has a huge effect on what happens locally, And you're right. Nobody took the guns, but that's an extreme. That's an extreme.
Does it say in the Constitution that you have the right to carry a bump stock?
But
shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it wasn't infringed. He didn't take away your gun. He took away the bump stock.
It was. Yes.
So if they outlaw suppressors, do you believe that's an infringement?
No.
That's an infringement. That's crazy.
I personally don't believe that.
Any law. Listen, wait, hold on. This is now you sound like one of the Democrats when they're arguing for voter ID, and they say we can't have voter ID because you could possibly disenfranchise one voter. One person might not be able to exercise their constitutional right to vote if you require voter ID. That's bullshit because you people, not you, but the left
in your car and drive on the street.
No.
Can you put
driving isn't a constitutional? Show me where it talks about driving.
Can you
hang on? Hang on. Hey,
man, SK, you're really impressing me right now. I like.
So, Cash. The part that you're missing is people that are passionate about 2A, myself included. Like when Smoke Pole is like, I'm the biggest 2A guy. No, I have my own little gun that goes on my shelf behind me, and it's specifically behind my head.
I had to take all
day long while I'm working.
But that is not a real gun.
Hang on. The thing that you have to understand, Cash, shall not be infringed is written there for a reason. And there is also a reason why it says a well-regulated militia. That does not mean we are going and training an army. That is meaning.
What shall not be infringed upon?
Your right to bear arms.
Your right to keep and bear arms.
Correct.
It doesn't say that you could put whatever modifications on it that you want.
Hey,
it's like,
there is no restriction. If the government has it, people should be able to have it.
Okay, do you agree with ghost guns then?
Yes.
I agree with all of it.
Correct.
I agree with all of it.
100%.
There should be zero restrictions.
You tripping.
Man, listen, Cash, let me ask you this. Like, and this is just a basic question. And I'm not trying to pigeonhole you or corner you, right? But let me ask you this. In the states that have the most strict gun laws, right? Chicago, California.
The most crimes.
Man, the most outrageous.
I'm not against guns, brother. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not against guns. We're not arguing about Cash being against. I'm all for you to have guns and everybody.
But look at this. If those criminals have switches and they're lighting up everything, right? Then what should the good people have? Whatever we need to protect ourselves.
It's to make us equal. That is why.
Man, because I don't want the criminal to have the advantage. Me, like, I want to protect my family, and I want to be able to have because I'm not.
But here's the thing, though, bro. Here's the thing: people ain't out there vigilante style battling against criminals.
Let me finish, guys. I am a self-regulating man. I don't need the government. I don't need religion. I don't need anything to make me a decent human being. When you start putting restrictions on me, then it gives the criminals the freedoms to be whatever they want.
I agree to an extent, but I disagree in the sense that where the fuck is everybody at then with all the criminals, all the people that owns all these switches and all that, and everybody talk about they need to protect themselves? Where is everybody at with all the criminals then? Why ain't vigilantes or militias coming together to hit the streets to say we ending crime?
I can tell you why.
If you got your carry, or depending on the state you in, you can roll around all day with an AK on your back and walk down the street.
And then we will be and then the government will look at us as the criminals.
Correct. And that, Cash, if you want a perfect example of it, you know this. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse.
That was different.
No, it is not.
No, it's not.
It is 100% the scenario that you mentioned.
Great conversation.
It is 100% the scenario you mentioned.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. You also have to remember some states have stand your ground laws. Some states have castle doctrine laws. And depending on the type of self-defense laws in the state is going to be the way that you can defend yourself. So I live in a stand your ground law. Like if I owned those things, flood, terrible tragedy. You just basically have to make sure that you're not pew-pewing somebody in the back and that they're inside your house. Period. The end. And now in places like California with castle doctrine, you have to actually prove that your life is in imminent danger in order to be able to have a credible self-defense. And that's impossible. How do you prove that your life was in imminent danger in order to have a self-defense unless there was somebody recording it or some sort of concrete proof, like actual video evidence? How are you going to prove that your life was in imminent danger, that somebody didn't just kick your door in and come in your home thinking that they were going to come in and make a sandwich.
SK, I hear all of that, right? Here's my thing. We talk about the little dudes running around here with switches, right? Little homies running around with switches. If there wasn't no law against the switches, or if it ain't no law against the ghost guns, it ain't no law against all these things that they can easily access. These are easily accessible things. Well, then guess what? They ain't catching the charge and they're not getting locked up.
The criminals don't follow the laws, Cash. The people that follow the laws are the law-abiding citizens, period.
You're not hearing what I'm saying. I hear switches. When I go through Chicago, I go through Gary, I hear them going off. I'm hearing it. I hear it.
Freedom.
I don't hear that happening in good communities.
Cash. I mean, I was doing it yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, you're in Oklahoma. That's different. That's like the Wild West.
I don't know if it's making if I'm understanding your argument correctly, Cash, because the reality of it is like
I'm saying lock these little motherfuckers up that's running around here with these switches, killing kids and lighting up people's houses.
Yes.
And if they make a harsh law against switches because they know they little badasses got them, well then guess what?
No.
I hope they throw the book at them. That's what I'm hearing.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Whenever you give up any liberty, even an inch of liberty for some sense of security or safety, you do not deserve that freedom that you were given. The number one purpose of the Second Amendment is to defend against the government. First of all, it's to be able to defend against the government. You have to put yourself back in the mindset of the founding fathers. The number one purpose was to be able to defend against the tyrannical government.
Switches and ghost guns and bump stocks.
Yeah.
I'm not taking away guns. No guns should be taken away. You should have whatever kind of
Hang on.
as long as it follows. Listen, no, we got to get this right. Y'all are pro 2A. Pro 2A. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed upon. But the states also have the rights to delegate the way that they're gonna do their shit. So they say you can have, yes, they do. You have the right to keep and bear your arms, but we don't allow this and this and this attachment to your gun. That is not illegal. That is you following the Constitution. That is recognizing
Cash. Let me respond to that, because you know what? I get your premise and your thinking it what it is, but you have to understand what a slippery slope you're climbing down. Because once you start saying, okay, the freedom of speech, yeah, you have the right to say whatever you want, right? But then if it's offensive to this person and it hurts their feelings, then yeah, the state has the right to shut you up. That's not right. That's not freedom of speech.
The Constitution. The Constitution
doesn't have exceptions.
It's the only part of the Constitution that says shall not be infringed.
Y'all arguing with the Constitution. You're not arguing with Cash Kelly. The states have the right to delegate. Plain and simple.
No, only if it's not expressly.
If you put a suppressor on your damn gun and you live in the state of wherever the hell you live, and they say suppressors are outlawed in this state, we don't allow them. You could keep your gun, but we're not allowing
you in the pudding, bro.
If what Constitution, they're not following that. They're not breaking.
What you were saying was true. California, Chicago, and Detroit would be safe places. But what you're saying is just not true.
Chicago and California. I'm talking about in general, bro. If the state, this is why they have laws, and them little homies is getting locked up.
You can tell they say you can tell a tree by the fruit it bears. The places that are following your logic are the most violent, terrible, decrepit places in America.
It's not about following my logic. All I'm saying is it's the law. That's all I'm saying.
No,
I'm not saying that this is what I want it to be and this is how it should be. I'm saying that according to the Constitution, you have rights. Your rights are protected. If these motherfuckers try to take your guns, that's against the Constitution. If they take your bump stock, it's not. Depending on the state you live in. That's all I'm saying.
Cash, the states only have the power to control what is not expressly given to the federal government, period. The end. If it is in the Constitution that the federal government has the power to regulate, then the federal government has the power to regulate, and federal law supersedes state law. But hold on, because that's where this argument with the whole migrant thing, and I like to equate it to 2A, and everybody needs to be careful how they argue these points, talking about, just go into these states and round these people up regardless of what the governors, the sheriffs, the mayors, whatever say, because I live in a state where my state, if the federal government tries to pass any sort of law where they're going to infringe on my 2A rights, my state will refuse to comply. Our sheriffs will
Right.
stand in the middle of the road and prevent them from coming into our counties to take any of our guns or to make us register anything or to do any of that. The sheriffs themselves, the mayors, the governors, they will stand in the way, and that's because they are protecting our constitutional right. That's the difference. So when you're arguing,
that's why a lot of these
going in
New
and getting
Yorkers
these
are running
migrants-
down here. That's
Yes,
why a
and-
lot of these New Yorkers and all these people from other states are running to Florida
Right.
because it's one of the few states that really believe in what she's saying.
Right.
Well, not like here, like here. But
Well-
but let me tell you, the difference is that the going in and rounding up the migrants is different because those mayors and governors are not standing in the way of somebody's constitutional right. Those people that are here illegally don't have a constitutional right to be here.
That's where we'll touch on that in a minute. But
Great combo.
I will throw out the argument what the liberals are saying, and some libertarians are saying. Constitutional rights on coming into our country gets questionable. We don't have a very good established process on what is an American citizen. Because if an illegal comes into this country and has a child, they had an American citizen. Is that right?
Well,
I don't think so.
What do they call those they call them anchor babies or something like
Correct.
that?
Yes.
Correct.
After the Illinois Supreme Court decision where they allowed the illegal that had PPU'd somebody, and he had, obviously he had it was in self-defense, that it was a clear-cut self-defense case, but he got in trouble because he was an illegal and he was in possession of a firearm. Well, the Illinois Supreme Court ruled that he has the constitutional right to defend himself.
Correct.
And so he was allowed to keep that. And so I debated this online a lot, and I said we have to be careful how we debate that, because once your feet are on American soil, you get constitutional rights, you get due process, you get those things. But if there is due process already put in place, if the federal government passes a law or Donald Trump puts in an executive order, Congress passes a law, whatever the means is of getting some sort of rule or process on the books legally, then they would have to abide by that, and their constitutional rights are not being violated.
Right. So that's the only reason why I brought that up is because it's a questionable topic that
What was the question?
we do need to address. Hang on, I'll recap it for you, Cash. And Cassandra, no, it still exists. If a child is born on the land, in the land of the United States of America, even if it is by illegal, they are a U.S. citizen. And so, yes, they get all constitutional rights, even though they are born by an illegal on our land. They are a U.S. citizen and receive U.S. rights.
Didn't Trump say he's stopping that though?
Is he stopping it? He's not empowered to stop it.
Yes, he said that he was going to end anchor babies.
Here's the thing: can a president end that? No.
Yeah,
No. It will have to go through Congress. It will take
go through Congress.
It has no way you are going to get 2/3 of Congress to amend the Constitution for the first time in 30 years to do that and put that in our Constitution. I doubt you will.
Unrealistic, man. That would be. I don't know.
I think people have had their feel, bro, with what's going on with illegal immigration and the things that's been going on down on the border and all the different states that's been affected.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
With how close the House and the Senate is, you can't win that argument. You will not get 2/3 of the vote.
You can, because he's not just trying to end anchor babies, period. He's not trying to end birthright citizenship, period. He's trying to make it to where people aren't coming across the border 8 or 9 months pregnant, either illegally or even trying to seek asylum and then getting here and having a baby thinking they can stay just because they had a baby. That's what he's talking about.
That will never change at the swipe of a single person making that decision. That's the point.
No, I don't think it will. I don't think it will either. But I think Congress could pass something.
That's going to go through, bro, because you have Democrats and Republicans pissed off about this whole illegal immigration thing, bro.
No, not 2/3 of the vote.
This shit over the last 4 years, people are fed up.
If there was that many people in Congress that actually agreed upon it, they would have took the action without Joe Biden's involvement, and they would have closed the border 2 years ago.
And not only that, there's so much nuance. There's so much nuance behind that, like how, when, like, you know, that is a very, very complicated situation. You know, when it comes to pregnancy, when did the pregnancy happen? What is their status of legitimacy? Right. It would create something that would take years to figure out.
So Smoke, you're on the right path. We can't even solve abortions, for God's sakes, let alone all of the complications of an illegal citizen coming into this country.
Being born, being
Wait, hold on. What is abortion has been solved? What are you talking about? Abortion
it's not solved.
What is solved?
What's not solved?
It's not solved because every state doesn't have an established process.
That is
so now you're going to argue. Are you going to argue Are you going to argue 2A and say that these states that are putting any restrictions?
No, because abortion is not in the.
You just argued.
No, SK.
You got to be logically.
The part that you're talking about.
Argued.
No, the part that you're talking about is already established in the Constitution, and it is a federal right.
Where?
Second Amendment is established.
I thought you were talking about abortion.
No, I'm using what you said. It would be used as a 2A thing, but no, it's in our Constitution. Show me in the Constitution where abortion is mentioned. It is not.
It's not.
So it goes back to the states, like what you're referring to.
Exactly.
So the part that I'm also emphasizing, the states that don't have a process, they are looking at the federal government for a decision. They don't have an established process. They want the federal government to make that decision.
Every state
has a process. Every single state.
They don't.
Every state yes, they do.
Every single state has a clause in it for when it comes to immigrants and asylum.
Every single state.
Every state.
And every single state has a process. And also on top of that, the federal government, with the Unborn Victims of Violence Act of 2004 that was signed by Bush, you know, the dumb one. He, in that Unborn Victims of Violence Act, that's where you can charge somebody with 2 murders if you kill somebody, but it also protects women. You cannot charge a woman with having an abortion, period, and that's federal law in the Unborn Victims of Violence Act. So you can't arrest a woman or charge a woman for having an abortion.
So the point that
there's no debate.
The part that I was making with this is you can't insert something that is not in the Constitution and say it is a federal decision. Correct?
What? Like
do you guys agree? Everybody agrees with that?
No, what'd you say? I didn't catch it. Say it again.
So you cannot insert something that is not in the Constitution and say it is a federal decision.
Right. It's a states' rights issue. It's solved. Exactly. It's a states' rights issue. Let the states handle.
Where it should
be. That's where it should be. 100%. We all agree, right? Yeah. Everybody agrees on this page.
So you can't remove it either.
Correct. That's the other thing. You can't say that all of this is a blanket statement. You have to start looking at it. And we got to this a little bit earlier, and we've been going on this topic for a really long time. So we're going to jump to another one here in a minute. But when it comes down to this entire situation on 2A, it is in our Constitution. And that means every state must abide by it. Every state. I don't care what your state constitution says. They have to abide by the Constitution of the United States, which means it shall not be infringed, which means a well-regulated militia should be able to run it. What that means, if you go back and look up how the Founding Fathers set it up, it is anybody that is prepared and has a gun is capable of using that gun. That is all a well-regulated militia means. It does not mean you have to be part of an army. It does not mean any of the stuff
I get all of that.
Now, when you start to say why we have the Second Amendment, we have the Second Amendment because of tyranny and a fear of tyranny and to be able to go against the government. And so we have to be equal to those evil individuals running tyrannical governments against us. So we have to be able to have tanks. We have to be able to have guns. We have to be able to have anything like switches, modifications to our guns to be comparable to an M16 that the government would have.
Otherwise,
what does that? How do you compare that to abortion, though? I'm lost on how
I was using it as a comparison because 2A is in the Constitution, abortion is not. Right. So that means states have to make up their decisions, and it can't be a blanket statement across the entire country. It just can't. Only 2A can be done, or anything that is in the Constitution gets applied that way. That is how our government
Tanks are a vehicle, bro. Tanks
Right.
are a vehicle.
Let's not go into the details. It is what it
hold on.
is.
Hold on, real quick.
Come on, man.
No,
Oh, Cash, man, this is gonna be hard.
No, this is the problem that we have. The interpretation. Everybody has their own interpretation of what this shit means in the Constitution. This is why things can't be agreed upon.
Cash, you would absolutely.
My man just said you need a tank.
If you ever went to Oklahoma or Texas, do you really think people don't have tank?
Huh?
A tank. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
what?
people have tanks. People have tanks.
Hey, if you think, look, man, listen. I'll put it like this, man. The reality of it is that, man, that what percentage of people could even afford a tank, right? I believe if somebody can afford it, then okay, go ahead and buy it. You know what I mean? But you know, I just don't think that the criminals out there with the switches are going to be over there in the price range.
The ones with the tanks, the drug dealers.
The drug dealers can't afford a drug dealer can't afford a tank.
My homeboys made $1 million when I was 16 years old.
$1 million won't get a tank
in the summertime, bro.
$1 million won't buy a tank, bro.
Look, I'm just saying they didn't even try. They didn't even try to make the mill.
I'm not.
It just happened. Imagine look, we finna guys, so we could get this new cyber tank rolling on the
Here's the thing. When it comes to a tank, Cash, all you need to do is identify as a Ukrainian, and you get handed any military weapon that you want.
Now we agree.
Yes, I want Smoke to be able to have a tank. Yes.
Africa. Today it was like $1 billion or something to Africa, wasn't it? How much is it to Africa?
1 billion is what he committed to African.
Yeah, today.
For
Ukraine
natural disasters. Natural disasters.
I mean, at this point, they're just trying to give all of our money away.
We have beaten this one to death, but
it was a good.
I love it that Cash is the only person on this panel that is against all of us, and it's the
worst for me. Y'all just don't understand me, bro. That's all it is. You don't understand.
But here's the thing.
And where I grew up at, and the shit that I've had to deal with, and the shit that I still got to see. Like my homeboy just got
that's true.
Invaded.
That's true. I got a lot of close friends from Chicago.
My man just got murdered in his gold shop, bro. You know what I'm saying? And
I get it.
For me, I look at all this that you guys are saying, and I'm like, no, fuck all that. I'm okay with some restrictions. Fuck that. You can have.
You just gotta be faster than the other guy.
No, fuck that. You can have a gun.
You just gotta have better aim and be faster.
You can have a gun. You can have a gun, but depending on the state you in, the state should be able to say, we ain't letting you crazy motherfuckers have a tank. You're
Cash,
not.
Let me quickly respond to that before we move on.
You cannot have a rocket launcher.
Cash, let me quickly respond to that before we move on, just really quick, because I have a lot of friends from. I think you're in the Chicago area, right? You're in the Midwest, right? And a lot of my close friends are from Chicago, and ever since I started like the GunTube channel, you know, I've gotten a lot of different mixed emotions from them, right? Because I mean, they grow up to a significant amount of illegal gun violence. So with that being said, one of my guys who's a realtor from Chicago, right? He's like, man, the gun laws have gotten so bad that I can't even go to certain neighborhoods because the criminals know that I can't even carry. So the criminals look for people like me that pull up in their little BMW, they're dressed nice, and I'm with my client, and they're getting robbed consistently because the criminals are targeting these people. You see what I'm saying? So when you get it, man, so how
are you not defending yourself?
I'm okay with the 2A. Everybody should be able to carry a motherfucking pistol, AR-15, an AK, whatever you want to carry on your back. You can carry that shit. But I think that Chicago needs harsh ass laws on switches because let me clarify. Let me rephrase this. If you are registered for your accessories, how about that? You got to register for these accessories instead of registering.
No, they're going to send the ATF to my house.
That's the one thing.
Hold on, let me finish my goddamn thought. You can have a gun, big ass gun, cannon, whatever on your back, right? And you don't got to register that. You have the right to bear your arms, right? I agree, 100%. But if you got any of these extra ass accessories, we want to know about it. That way, then that makes it fair. Because it's all I don't see no regular citizens out here with shooters running around shooting people down and shit. I see the homeboys out there that killed that police officer. I see them the ones that's carrying switches that ain't registered, got guns that got the serial numbers carved off of them joints. I see them the one that's got the 3D printers. They put that dope money into getting 3D printers and creating ghost guns. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all that,
Good
bro.
luck with that. Good luck with that 3D printer and that ghost gun, and go see how much damage that's going to do. You might be lucky to get it to shoot 1 freedom seed.
You're out of your fucking mind.
SK, don't
I like SK.
Hold on.
No,
The first
that's a lie.
agency that
These
should be
dudes got some
abolished is
shit
the
that is
ATF.
it's a fucking Uzi, and the shit works, and it's a ghost gun.
Gosh.
It's come out clear, bro, and your ass.
Dude,
I'm telling you.
Dude, I think you're getting mixed up talking about Century H2O and clear water, and then now you're talking about
man, y'all
guns.
just Kaecey, you can't even identify with this shit because you live out in fucking Jerusalem somewhere, bro. You don't live where I come from. You don't know what I'm fucking talking about. And people
Am I
that's
wearing a yarmulke?
what I'm talking about, bro.
No, Cash, I get what you're saying. Here's the part that where we differentiate this entire thing. You are talking about scenarios that people are doing illegal tasks to modify their weapons to be able to get what they want. You cannot buy today off the shelf any American. No American can go and buy a fully automatic gun. Right. You are talking about somebody that is doing an illegal task in modifying their weapon to fire the way it is.
But I agree that people should be able to buy fully automatic guns.
Do you?
Yes.
You can. You just have to go through extensive background checks. Like, you can have fully automatic. It's just the government knows exactly what you have, and you've been through extensive background checks.
You cannot buy a fully automatic.
Yeah, you can.
Pre-1980, yeah, you can.
And it happens so rarely that it's almost insignificant to talk about.
Yeah, you can't. You can say one person does it every 365 days. That does not mean it's freedom and part of the American statute. You just can't.
Man, y'all just don't understand what I'm saying.
The point, I think, let's keep moving because that
communication here.
I think everybody's kicked their point of view on this one, and I don't think that there's going to be
there won't be. There won't be.
But it's okay.
I'm just going to admit, it's nice that Cash is on the one side. Usually it's me. Usually I'm the one that everybody picks on. So it feels good tonight that it's at least Cash. So
I ain't getting Cash. I'll whip your ass.
I don't think I've ever picked on Cash. I think that's the first time I've ever picked on you, Cash.
You ain't picked on me. You tried it. You didn't pick on me.
I think that criminals are the only ones that follow laws, man. When you start having governmental stuff and regulations put on American people, I've never ever seen a criminal say, "Man, I'm not going to do this because the law says it's not legal." The only people that affects is the good guys like us. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
It's the only people that end up getting hurt by it.
I'm done. You know what though? I am done talking about it. I can't even own a motherfucking gun right now. I'm a felon. So
there is an A+ comment right now.
That's why he's bitter.
Somebody in the comments said alcohol, tobacco, and firearms should be a convenience store with a drive-through. Amen.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. And by the way,
it.
I should be able to buy cannabis as I pick up my AR-15. Why not?
You can in Oklahoma.
I'm not.
You just can't use. You just can't use. Hold on. You just can't use your MJ while you're in possession of your.
I'm okay with that. That's just being smart.
Let's move on. I'm done with this shit.
Hey, unless you're Biden, Hunter Biden uses the nose candy, the pistol, because that's one of the pictures that's not circulating. That's what I've seen before. I've seen a scale. I've seen a picture with a scale, a nice pile of nose.
I can show you. You want to see it?
I've seen it, and they don't show that much anymore.
What you mean?
Hold on. But hold on, I have a question. Do you guys know? I want to know, and you guys probably don't know because I read all these transcripts out loud from the Delaware case, the gun case. But do you know what it is that Hallie Biden, his dead brother's wife, that he was sleeping with and doing smokable Coca-Cola with? He was asleep. He came back to the house and went to sleep. And she went out to his truck because she thought he'd been with other girls, and she was going out there to dig through his truck to see what she could find because, of course, he was. And she pried open a lockbox in his truck and found the gun that he had just purchased, the Freedom Seeds, and a speed loader. And she took those things and put them in a bag and took them to a grocery store. And as she was walking into the grocery store, she threw the bag with the gun, the Freedom Seeds, and the speed loader into the trash can as you walk in the door, not like behind, like as you walk in the door. And it's across the street from a school, by the way. And she didn't get in any trouble at all whatsoever.
Zero. She should be well, and honestly, she's not pardoned. So that should be going all over the internet right now because she should.
I need you to send me that, SK. Send me a clip of something so I can make that video.
I mean, if you go to Marco Polo's website, I gave Marco Polo all of the transcripts from Delaware. He published them on his website.
It was hard to, it's hard to find now. It's really hard to find, but I remember seeing it.
I'll tell you, it's not hard to find. I Googled it in 2 seconds and I have it right here.
Wow.
But when it comes to this entire thing, like SK, you were saying this and I'm like, wait a minute, why did I forget about this? Yeah, I Googled it and it's right here on my screen. This entire situation puts her as an accessory, that she is hiding evidence.
And on top of that, Hunter was on his way to go see his daughter, and he was driving down the road and I guess decided or looked down and realized that his lockbox was popped open, and he's like, what the hell? And looked and it was all gone. So he starts texting her and calling her, and you can see those text messages. And he calls her and he's flipping out for obvious reasons. And he's like, what did you do? And she's like, I threw it away. And he's like, go get it. You have to go get it. And so he stays on the phone with her and she goes back to the store to get it, and it's gone because the local guy that digs through the trash and takes recyclables for money, not homeless guy, like just lives in the neighboring town, just goes to the more wealthy part of the area to dig through the trash to take all of the recyclables out. And then he would take a whole truckload of recyclables. He came through to dig through recyclables right after she threw that away, and he found that bag with that gun and all that stuff in it. And so whenever she went to look and it wasn't there, Hunter's like, you have to go inside and tell the story. You have to get them to pull their cameras because we have to find out what happened to that. It's mine. He just bought it a few days before. He'd only had it for a few days, like maybe 10 days. And so he's the one telling her, you have to go in and tell them what you did. You have to get the footage. And then you need to call the police right now. The only reason the police were called is because Hunter Biden said, call the police. Hunter Biden did everything he should have done. He should have never been charged with anything in Delaware. The only reason they charged him in Delaware is because they wanted to make it look like they were pursuing some sort of justice. That's it.
They're not. We all know politicians. We all know this. We all know everything involving government. They're going to get away with everything. This entire thing, as we started the show off with Hunter Biden, we all knew he was going to be pardoned. Joe Biden said that he won't, but we all knew it was a lie. Every single one of us. There's not a single person. And so I find it very surprising.
Praised him. Calling him a hero. See, he loves justice. He's just an exemplary man, isn't he? He's just an example to the nation. That's what they were saying.
What we have today, he didn't hold up to a single thing. Very similar to Kamala stealing Trump's no tax on tips and everything. We have the Democratic Party falling apart right now. And that's the part that we want to highlight with this is the corrupt system on one side is starting to fall apart. The other side, the right, I think started to cave during 2016 to 2020. It didn't really get the full effect. COVID causes some problems, but I think with the people he put in cabinet, minus a couple that I have some questions about, we are on target to actually start cleaning house. And I'm hoping it happens. But we won't know until it actually starts happening, right? So we're going to find out in the coming years, January 20th. We're going to segue into the next topic real quick because it goes real smoothly. Speaking of trying to take some action and getting things done, you have New York calling Donald Trump already, and he's not even president, trying to figure out how they handle the border. You have Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, and you have Eric Adams, New York City mayor, calling Donald Trump, being like, help us with all these illegal migrants. How do we solve this? What do you think about this, Smoke?
Well,
no, before you go, Smoke. Hold on, Smoke. Before you go,
geez.
Hey, Kaecey. New York's calling Trump to ask for some help with illegals.
Yes,
that's like unheard of, isn't it? It's like
there's a reason why. There's a reason why, and it has a lot to do with Florida.
It goes with the topic that we were just talking about they wouldn't sign something that said you can't have anchor babies.
I wouldn't say that.
I think that if that liberal ass place would call on Trump, that
well,
all the liberal
there's a
places
reason
might
why.
call on Trump.
There's a reason why. Because you know what? It's something that, you know, Governor DeSantis did, and he jumped off, is we started sending them right up there, sending them right to the front yards of all of these politicians in New York and all of these politicians in all of these liberal cities. And then they start realizing that it's a real issue. Until and see, that ended up being called racist, that ended up being called all kind of things. But the reality of it is until it's on their front yard, they didn't give a damn about it. And I think that was one of the best things that we have done as a state in Florida is, hey, we put them on buses, send them right up there to their front yards, and then they'll start realizing that it's an actual real issue.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
And the United States should have been learning from Europe a long time ago. Europe's been trying. You can look at Europe and see what's happened in Europe over time. Even back in, like, what was it, 2014, whenever that dude had the bomb on the train in France, I think it was.
Sure.
They were, France and the UK and Italy, all those places were talking about, you know, illegal immigration and the influx of migrants into the area and the problems it was causing way back then. And we've just continued to go down that road. It's almost like we looked at them and said, oh, look at the problems this caused. Let's do that, because that's exactly what we've done. When we can be learning from Europe and see what's happened and then not do that.
I will caution you from learning from Europe, but we can actually just take a little bit of what Europe is
what
doing.
I mean.
Maybe let's ban red dye 40 and let's start working on some of our stuff. I'm good with that, but let's not take that too far, please.
I'm so excited because I have always called myself a crunchy Republican because I've always been a little, you know, on the crunchy side, and now it's cool, and I'm like, this is amazing.
And let's get rid of all the people that are putting our countrymen in debt. Is that what you mean, Kaecey?
Well, we're not going to talk about debt. You want to derail this entire show? Like, we're going to start talking about $36 trillion of debt and how our government is evil, and it has been running like this since 1912.
And it's all about priorities. It's all about prioritizing people that other than us, and I think that might segue into something else like that. But when your priority is no longer the American people, when those are the first, when American people become secondary and just on the back burner, then man, it can cause such a domino effect of other problems. It's like, that's why I'm an American first. No matter what, we have to reprioritize and shake these people's heads and say, hey, look, wake up. As long as we're under bridges, as long as our veterans are under bridges, as long as our people are starving in the hood, as long as, like, the people that built this country, whether they're black, white, Latino, no matter what color they are, put Americans first, man, no matter what.
Okay, so real quick, not to change the topic, it kind of goes with it as a segue. It's just a simple yes or no question that I want from everybody. Just a simple yes or no. I'm gonna call your names. Okay. This is the question. Do you support reparations? Smoke.
Absolutely.
SK.
No.
Kaecey.
I have to clarify. You're saying reparations from the government?
See?
No, I have to know where it's coming from.
Just say yes or no. Yes or no. Do you support reparations?
I'm going to say no because I don't have context.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked this question is because a post came across my screen via SUNY Blanks from a year ago, almost a year ago, January 2024, of New York securing a whole shit ton of money for Holocaust survivors, giving them reparations. The reason why I asked about reparations is because why the fuck are we giving? I mean, not we. Why is New York? Because I don't know if we paid for it as taxpayers. But why in the hell is New York giving Holocaust survivors reparations? We didn't put them motherfuckers in chambers of gas. We did not do that. Why is America or any American paying Holocaust survivors? I disagree with that.
Since I answered first, can I expound, because that was a very, very, and it'll be short and sweet. It was a very, you know, you put everybody in a corner with that one without no explanation. You know what I mean? You know, you have to remember that a lot of cultures that foreigners, you know, this is again going back to putting Americans last. You know, there's a lot of other cultures that have received reparations, you know, that actually were granted the ability to be here by, you know, whatever the historical situation was. But I believe that, you know, if all of these other cultures have gotten reparations, then absolutely black people being some of the taking such a huge part in the building of this country and never being reconciled with it. I believe that there are foundational Black Americans that absolutely deserve some sort of compensation. You know, there was never, and I don't mean to get all fancy because sometimes things have been said so much it almost sounds cliche, but the 40 acres and a mule, and there's so many.
Oh, it's 40 acres and a mule. I thought it was 40 ounces in a pit bull.
But like Black Wall Street, there's been so many egregious financial disadvantages that Black people have been put up against, and so many broken promises that have directly put and enabled some of those same people that you're talking about, some of those exact same people you're talking about, put them in great financial positions and put us at a disadvantage. And the fact that they're talking
this is all I want to say, and we can end it with this. Okay,
I'm in that with that.
All right. If first off, I don't support reparations if it's going to come from Americans. I don't support it. I don't support reparations for Black people in America if it's going to come from Americans. You
support the reparations that have been paid to the Irish and
listen to what I'm saying. Let me finish. Listen to what I'm about to say. You're going to like this. I don't support reparations being paid to Black people from Americans because not one American participated or benefited. All right. And I wasn't never a slave. Right. So the taxpayers is what I'm talking about. I support Israel, Jewish people paying reparations. And the reason why I support Jewish people paying Black people reparations is because if the Jews had never funded the slave trade, then it never would have happened. Yeah, I said it. I said it. Look it up. Every slave ship was owned and paid for.
I agree with that. But I will not go back and say, because the predominant group of people,
and they got reparations, so why can't they pay us?
And let's be also clear here.
Why can't the Jews pay Black people reparations from all the money they're getting from Germany?
We are also not saying all Jews, right? We're talking about a specific group of people that actually use things for selfish reasons. And God, yes.
I'm not talking about Jewish people that wear the yarmulke, the regular American people. Like I said, I don't support any American citizens paying reparations. I support the Talmudists, the wealthy elite that run the world today. I support them paying reparations to Black folks, Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, Brazilian,
money,
Irish. The Irish, I support them paying the Irish. I support them paying the English that came over on the slave ships because all this is a fact. In the 1600s and the 1500s, they came over on slave ships with Black folks. Before Black folks was on the slave ship, as a matter of fact, it was the Scottish, the Irish, and the English and the Portuguese that was being pushed around in the slave trade. And then they came and they grabbed the Black people. So I support all of them.
Cash, what you're missing out on is a lot of the cultures that you just mentioned were paid. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't realize that the Asians were paid. The Irish were paid.
By who?
People, and a lot of the businesses that they own now, a lot of these cultures, the foundation of them starting these businesses was from the funds. Like America, Black people would not be the first culture to get reparations. You have to look into historically how much money has been paid by the American people, and to say that we don't have the money is total BS when we're sending billions of dollars to the Ukraine.
I'm just saying,
this money pops up.
We mad at the wrong people. We mad at the wrong people. I'm not mad.
I'm just saying the truth.
No, I'm not talking about you. I mean, as a whole, right? We get mad and point the finger at the wrong people. We get mad and point the finger, like in America, a lot of people like to point the finger at the white people need to pay Black people reparations. No, white people don't need to pay Black people shit. All right, because it was the white people and Black people, the slave master and the slave was both being ran by the same force. That force is who needs to pay reparations, is what I'm saying.
And
when you read history about it, like Bacon's Rebellion, that was white and blacks that was slaves that rose up against slave masters. And it wasn't until the Anti-Miscegenation Act in 1661 before the term white was even used. You had white, that's why they came up with the act, the Anti-Miscegenation Act, because white people was marrying black people that was both slaves. So then they said, oh, we can't have that. We can't have the white slaves and the black slaves mingling. And then they separated them and said, well, listen, you're a slave, but you're almost a free slave. You're an indentured servant slave, and you are more like us than you are like them. That's what happened.
The part is to say what happened. You're reading a story from somebody else, and that's my entire problem with anything of going back in time and saying this is how it went. There is 30 different papers to say how a decision was made 50, 60, 100.
You can read the laws. You can read the laws from the colonial lawmakers in 1600s. White people and black people and natives that were all slaves together.
I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that analysis, because it's one of those things that a lot of people who are race deniers utilize in order to take fault off of who really participated. Yeah, you could say this many people, but when you look at the large majority of slave owners, these are not black people. You have exceptions of the rule, and then if you use those exceptions of the rule as something to justify the mass amount of people who profited, sold.
Do you know any names of black slave owners?
No, but I've been to the posts where the hooks and the hooks are still in the wood in Louisville.
Do you know about any of the white slaves?
Let me finish, because you asked an important question. I don't know the slave owners' names, but I've seen the wood and the posts in which these people were locked onto, and that they still are there, like that the screws and the nails that they were there are still there. Like I've been to those places where they were sold, and then on top of that, let me finish this. On top of that, we're not talking about a long time ago. You see what I'm saying? We're not talking about a lot. So again, I agree with whoever says, if you don't think that the Jews should get reparations, the Asians, the Irish, who a lot of them already have, if you think all of that was wrong, and then you don't think black, then okay, I respect that a little bit. But if you don't think that the builders of this country, which a lot of it was, even Trump said, built on the backs of black people, black blood, and the death of my ancestors, believe that they should get anything, and you think that all of this other stuff is justified, I have to strongly disagree.
I hear you, and I accept your disagreement. It's great. But when you talk about the chains and everything, when people was hooked to them, you're assuming that it was only black people that was hooked to them.
Man, you can look.
I'm
talking about for like hundreds. I'm not talking about if there was a white slave. See, again, we're talking about the exception.
Hold on, brother.
I
listen to you. Now hear me out.
But again, what are you talking about? You think they were Mexicans? You think they were Mexicans tied to these?
Hold on, man. Hold on, Smoke. Calm down. Man. Hear me out.
That's crazy.
When you talk about slavery,
what color were they?
We got to be factual about it.
Well, what color were they?
No, brother, let me finish. When you talk about slavery and you go all the way back, like you're trying to go all the way back, when you go pre-1619, because that's what everybody likes to use the date, 1619, right, was the date that the first black people came off the ship into America? Is that correct?
Or my philosophy is a little different.
Hold on. Let me hit my point.
I believe black people were here way before this.
They were. Was it 1619 when the first slaves got off the ship? Yes or no?
If you believe the convention, just like my man Kaecey said, if you believe the story.
So then who were the slaves before then? Because there were slaves already here. Slaves
tried it with the Indians. The Indians weren't strong enough. They tried it with the Indians. The Indians weren't strong enough. They tried to enslave their own people.
They did enslave the Indians.
Huh?
They did enslave the Indians.
Exactly. And they weren't the cult. They weren't strong enough to really even do it. And I believe that's
false. That is false. Hold on, SK. That's false. What happened was They were already black. Them slaves was black, bro.
There you go. Now you talking.
It
See again, and
Hold
this is why what you're saying is so ambiguous, because you have
No,
to
it's
believe
not.
whatever
You're
story
not
they
giving
told
me a
you.
chance. You're not listening to everything
That's
in its totality, my brother.
Sorry about that, man. I got that.
No, you good. I know it's a,
fucking
hey,
nervous,
it's a touchy thing. It used to be really touchy to me too until I kept studying it. Right? It's not touchy to me no more. I take emotion.
I studied quite a bit, but but to say that they were not black is just like that's
they were,
outrageous.
but they weren't the only. This is again, they were not the only ones.
Great.
You forget about the Portuguese, the English,
They were black
the
too.
Scottish, and the Irish. No, they were white
The
men.
Moors,
White
the Moors.
slaves.
Listen. I know about the Moors. My uncles are grand.
So are they not so-called European?
Listen to me. Hear me out, brother. Before you keep going, just listen to what I'm saying. Do you know anything about the Anti-Miscegenation Act of 1661?
Please explain.
The Anti-Miscegenation Act of 1661 came about because colonial lawmakers were saying, okay, we got all these slaves that are white, black, and native, right? They were all they all lived together. They all lived in the same area. They were not allowed to mingle with the elite. They were the masters, and they all lived in a big ass field. Think of it like that. They're the slave masters, and this is the big ass field, and it's filled with white, black, and native. I'm saying that for argument's sake. We can talk about where they're from and all that. But these are all slaves.
So now, just to understand, now again, I'm not disagreeing. I just want to understand clearly what you're saying. You're saying that during the inception of slavery in America, they have this field of people that are white, black, and whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They all. It was a slave. That was a big ass slave quarter.
So they came. So these settlers, these pilgrims, came from America.
Brother,
and
listen.
they enslaved some of their own people.
Listen to me.
Yes.
When the English came over here, they brought English slaves with them. They were enslaved by their own people.
We're talking about.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. They was enslaved by their own people, just like black people allegedly was sold by their own people allegedly from allegedly Africa. I don't buy that shit, but whatever. All right, we'll go with it. They were sold and brought over here to America later on. They already had shit being built over here by whites and natives. They enslaved the natives that were captured by the other natives that they were working with. So the natives enslaved the other natives and gave them to the Europeans, and they bought them from the Indians. Okay? Now you have Irish that were also enslaved by English and sold also by wealthy Irish. You had Scottish that was sold, enslaved by wealthy Scottish or English, and
may I ask you a quick question?
No, let me get to my.
Hundreds of years.
Listen, let me get to my point. Again, we're going into the Anti-Miscegenation Act.
That's where you lose me.
Listen,
for hundreds of years.
The Anti-Miscegenation Act came into effect because all these slaves started mingling, marrying each other to the point where you had free white women marrying a native or a black or a Scottish or an Irish or a Portuguese slave. Okay. And they were marrying these people. And then you had enslaved whites marrying free blacks, because at this time you had free blacks. They were called natives. They were native to this land, and they were also English blacks that came over here and also took part in slavery. This is a fact. Okay.
Now, but you're not answering my question. For hundreds of years, this was the racial makeup of slavery.
Let me finish.
That's untrue.
Let me finish. Then you had the free blacks that were indentured servants that weren't in perpetual servitude, because at this time, if you were black, you were not a perpetual slave. You can earn your freedom the same way that everybody else did. And some of them did. Some were perpetual slaves for life because they were bought and they didn't have nothing. Nobody giving a fuck about them. It wasn't a debt that they accumulated. They were just perpetual slaves.
You're stacking partial truth onto partial truth.
It's not a partial truth. You can
but you're stacking multiple partial truths.
No, I'm not.
Which is going to make it
what I'm
more hard to
listen to me. You wanted to hear about the Anti-Miscegenation Act and why it came into being. The Anti-Miscegenation Act came in because these people started breeding and having people that look like me and having look like you. So now we ain't even looking like the people that we came from. You don't look like the black slave. You don't look like the white slave. You are looking completely different. And we don't know what to do with this kid, because now one parent's free and the other one's a slave, but this one wants the kid. But I'm like, yo, you came from my slave. So they made the Anti-Miscegenation Act that said, if you are a free person or a white woman or a white man and you marry a person that is indentured servant or slave, that kid owes a debt and you owe a debt because you fucking around with a slave. Okay,
at what part of the hundreds of years of slavery was all of this taking place? Please help me out, because
that led to Lord Bacon's rebellion, where you had the whites, the blacks, and the natives rose up against the elites.
What hundreds? Because if first off, let me get
matter about time frame. I'm talking about slavery. You're talking about slavery in America.
Let me understand something.
Guys, hang on. Hang on. I'll
really
mute
want
you
to
guys in
understand
just a minute.
something clearly.
Hang on for a second. I got to bring this back in because no one can understand what's going on. Okay. I want a healthy debate. I want a healthy conversation. So
okay, then let me finish.
Respect each other and making sure, and you both are,
brother,
you both are, but allow each other to finish where they're at and then respond. Okay.
Go, SK, go ahead, real quick.
Man, and
I just want to say one thing, because I know I'm super white on this screen with this light in my face, and I don't go in the sun all that often, but I am Native American. And before Europeans ever even had contact in this country, Native Americans had other Native Americans as slaves. They would, through conflict, there were tribes that had like mourning wars. So whenever they lost a member of their tribe, they would like replace them by going and creating a war with another tribe and taking prisoners, and then they would make them their slaves, or they would use them for human sacrifice. Like there was a lot of nasty shit that went on.
One of the things that we have to do when we have this conversation, which is a lot of a huge problem when we talk about this, is when you even say the word slavery, it is such a general term that is totally falsifies anything you're talking about, because slavery amongst different tribal slavery is not American slavery. And in any comparable form, American slavery had to do with castration, had to do with mutilation.
That was not
hold on, let me finish. I didn't.
No,
you guys are talking.
It's still turn. You interrupted.
Let him finish.
American slavery had to do with breeding. American slavery had to do with buck breaking. American slavery had to do with rape. American slavery had to do with a lot of things that what you're talking about and equating as slavery, and what Irish people talk about and equate as slavery and indentured servitude was nothing. You should use a totally different word. Otherwise, you're being untruthful.
That's what it might have mutated into.
I'm telling you, there was a lot of times I wanted to say something while you were speaking. Allow me to finish.
No, because you're taking the time that I'm supposed to be speaking, my brother. Let SK interject real quick. It was still
I digress with that. All I'm saying is, like, when you start using the same terminology for the shit you're talking about and the shit you're talking about, it is complete bullshit.
Here, this is it. That wasn't happening in the 1600s. Let me just clarify that. Everything that you're talking about came later, bro.
Hundreds of years. That's my point.
Okay, that's fine, but that's not what
we can't compare it.
That's not what we was on, though. We're talking about the Anti-Miscegenation Act and why it happened.
No, we're talking about reparations. We're talking about compensation for the shit I'm talking about.
People that got beat by their masters with whips, and people that got killed, and people that got their kids bashed in front of them. That shit was happening right there in the 1600s. It was happening. It's documented. All you got to do is go back in history and read the fucking the logs. Read the colonial lawmakers. Read the story. And it was a horrible slave master. What was her name? Madam B. Johnson. That would fucking castrate her men. And this was around that time. This was maybe the 1700s, where she was a slave owner in the 1700s, castrating her men, making them fuck her, and then taking their dick. That's what she was doing, and she was black. Yeah. And again, the reason why I was bringing this up is because when these people who was indentured servants, whether they was white, black, or native, got free, guess what they did? They owned slaves. That's what they did. There were wealthy men in this country who were black who owned slaves. There were wealthy women in this country who was black that owned slaves, that partook in the same shit that we talk about white people did to black people. But it's okay because it wasn't a lot. It was only like 2. It was only like 3. So that really doesn't matter. No, it was the way of life back then. Was it horrible? Yes. Did we live there? Fuck no. I don't live there.
That's unbelievable. Go ahead. I digress because I'm not going to argue with it. You can look up, you can pull it up, you can read you know what? I digress. If you believe that the acts of this lady that you're talking about, or the acts of black people on a numerical level,
I can give you a lot.
Let me finish.
I give you a whole lot.
You believe that the acts of this black lady you're discussing and whatever other black people were involved in the slave trade were equivalent or comparable to the and I don't even want to say 400 years. If it was something comparable to the treatment that black people experienced in America, then I think you are totally.
No one's making that argument.
And let me finish.
No one's making that argument, but you.
I'm not going to do it. I digress.
Okay.
I digress.
But no one's making that argument. No one's making that argument.
Absolutely ridiculous, and it requires a certain level of just ignoring the facts that I think just totally makes it not worth even arguing with.
So, Smoke, the big part that we're talking about in this scenario is we're arguing semantics. Exactly. And when we start getting into that, it's a gray area. And Smoke, I get what you're saying. I do disagree with you, but I get what you're saying. I do.
You can't, like, it's almost like if you talk about a group of people, right? Oh, almost like the Gen Sixers or not the Gen Six, these people that you're talking about. It's just like you, Cass, when they talk about it, right? And they say it's all white people, white Nazis, and they leave out that, you know, that there were black people in there, right? But when you over there and you see somebody walking with a Confederate flag and you see footage of it where they're talking about, you know, and you see hi-ho Hitlers and stuff like that, to negate that's there is untrue.
I'm not negating that. We're not saying that it doesn't exist. You're the only one arguing that, brother.
No, what I'm saying is it's the same type of logic. It would be almost like to say, because you were there, the people, just because you were there does not make it just a racially friendly group of people.
Yo, Smoke, I love you, bro. Just so you know, I love you. But you know what just happened right now? We talk about slavery and you got triggered. That's what just happened. Instead of listening to what I was trying to get to, you made me deviate.
Cash, hang on.
Make other points.
No, we're not going down this path because Cash, I watched you get triggered too.
Ain't nobody saying I don't fucking get triggered. You're about to trigger me right now with saying that stupid shit. Because
I love both of you guys. I love you guys all. I am triggered, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's a good conversation. No love lost. It just is what it is. I disagree.
That's the point that I was bringing it back to, guys. Is we have a difference of opinion here, and a lot of it, yes, Cash. I watched your body language change, and the same with you, Smoke.
Yeah, only because
I get it.
Not the nature of the conversation. I don't get triggered by this conversation. I get triggered by what you saw me get triggered by was a white person saying some stupid shit. That's what triggers me. When white people say dumb racist shit, I get triggered and call you a son of a bitch. Cash, I'm not talking about you. Saying in particular.
No one is saying dumb racist shit. Everybody's sharing their opinion. That's all it is. Every single one of you, both of you,
I know,
have shared your opinion and where you're coming from.
This isn't heated.
And we're talking about in this
how
situation.
Black people argue, Kaecey. This is how we have conversations.
But this, regardless,
this
if that's
like
how you're going to have
volume.
a conversation.
I still love you, Smoke.
Yeah, likewise, bro. It's just, I disagree, but I understand where you're coming from, and the reason I am kind of somewhat triggered is because, like, I feel that a lot of times people justify what happened to, like, you hear a lot of people say, well, Africans participated in the slave trade. That's not a justification to me. That's like, or like they say, well, black people were involved in the insurrection. That's not justification to me. There are still an element that exists that does not negate. There's still an element, even of the people that did what you ended up incarcerated for. For us to deny that there's an element of those people that really dislike black people and really do have an element of hatred involved, we have to recognize the truth.
And that's the truth. I'm with you in that, my brother. I'm with you in that. All I was saying was the point that I was trying to get to was you can't tell who the fuck you're going to pay reparations to, which is why I disagree with it. You look at SK right there. SK is fucking native. You couldn't tell by looking at her that she is native. Okay. If you look at my daughter, you could not.
There's a racial reason behind that. The whole whitening. Listen, the original Indians, the original Asians, the original.
Let me just get it.
All black.
2 minutes.
There's a reason why she's 2 minutes. And it has to do with racism.
It's going to take me 2 minutes, brother. I got you. All right. You can't justify paying reparations in today's society because, number one, you don't know who owned the slaves. You don't know who was a slave. You don't know who is an actual descendant of a slave. A lot of people that are over here right now that are black, a lot of people that are over here right now that are black may have had a great grandfather that was the slave master. And a lot of people who are white may have had a great grandfather who was black. How the fuck you going to pay reparations?
Yep.
I agree with that, but there's a I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but there's a book you should read that it talks about the whitening of all these cultures and like how like the original Asians were a lot darker than me. The original Indians, like American Indians, were a lot darker than me. And there's been a whitening of all of these cultures because of so-called white supremacy. And when we look at the SKs of this world, there's a reason why she looks the way she does, and it's directly related to racism. It is,
or is it because her grandfather and grandmother fell in love, and then they grandfather and grandfather before them fell in love?
So
that's what I'm saying. We don't know. That's my whole point.
Let me jump in here.
Some of it was
SK. Let me throw in one, and then I want you to go next. Okay, Smoke. I get what you're saying. This is where one of my favorite comedians, Russell Peters, he talks about. Guess what? We're all going to get you. Everybody's going to be beige before you know it. And I 100% agree with that statement. And when it comes down to this, white people are the predominance in the world, right? Do you agree with that?
True. They're the minority worldwide. Worldwide.
But how does the color of your skin transfer? Let me rephrase that. So does melanin dominate?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It does dominate.
100%.
When you get to 2 generations, does it dominate?
It depends on who you're sleeping with.
Any form of color is going to be definitely a dominant as far as genetically speaking. Like the darker the gene, that is a dominant characteristic.
Right. So as you get further away, because we're talking about historically, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of years, correct? So when you start getting farther away, everything starts getting lighter and things start to blend together, correct?
Which is Argentina is a great example of what you're about to describe.
You are going down the path that I'm getting to. Like you look at Argentina, and most of the people, and even a lot of Spanish countries, they look like me. They're white.
But do you know why Brazil, which is right next to them, they're dark? See, now you're about to.
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Let me hear it.
Racism. You know why? Because there was a genetic in Argentina, and look this up once we all get off there. Because in Argentina, which is where they allowed all of the Nazis after World War II, they allowed all the dumb ones over there to Argentina. And what they did is the hatred towards black skin. They even have sayings talking about this. They started really breeding the black people out of it to where if you had a mixed baby, then instead of like, whereas America, they took it, whereas like you have a drop of black blood, they call you black. In Argentina, they went the opposite way, where if you had a drop of black blood, then they wanted you better marry another white person, because if you keep on marrying if you marry anybody black, then you have a black soul. Listen to this. They called it a black soul. So what they did is they started genetically making sure that anybody with any type of mixed blood or ancestry would make sure they married somebody as white as possible. So then it would just breed, they would breed the black out of them. And anybody with blackness in them, they said they had a black soul. Whereas America, we did the opposite. That was where we had the 1 drop blood rule, where it was like, okay, you're not the purity of the Aryan race. You have to look into the racism of how racist white people thought. The Aryan race, the way that they kept their race pure was to make sure that, hey, look, if you were black-blooded, then you're not considered white. This is true. If you talk to a white Aryan racist, they say, you know what, if you have a drip of black blood, then but then white people started saying, well, damn, we can't take credit for Stephen Curry or we can't take credit for this person. So look, we got to change that all up. And then now we have accepted a little bit more of that of being like racially mixed and so forth here. And that's what kicked that culture off. That's what we like here. But if you go into the other countries where racism is still a factor, like Argentina, it'll expose and tell you every reason why it's that way.
I want to respond to that, but SK, I promise that you're up next, and then I want to. I
digress too. I've said a lot.
SK, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say earlier when you guys were talking about the slavery and all of that, and I'm thinking about the history of my tribe and my state. And I feel, I mean, my tribe, I don't know if you remember the court ruling, I don't know, probably 20 years ago now, maybe, where my tribe had to accept the freedmen into our tribe and give them, you know, all of the same benefits and everything like that.
Sure.
Right. So also, my tribe was also punished after the Civil War because my tribe fought with the Confederates in the Civil War. And as a punishment for that, the federal government took a whole portion of our land from the northern part of Oklahoma and gave it, like where the Osage had all of the oil and all of that, that used to all be Cherokee land. And
Right.
so, and I don't know of any, and I don't know, I'm not stating this as fact, but do you guys know of anyone else in this country that's had to pay any sort of debt for any of these things that they've done, like for, you know, fighting with, you know, with the Confederates in the Civil War, or, you know,
No.
having slaves or
I know.
anything like that?
I know.
Because
I do. I know somebody who had to pay.
Who?
All the black natives that was already here that they ended up calling Negroes, which is why so many black people have native in their blood. They literally, there's proof of papers and all this the propaganda that went out all throughout that time where they said the Indians will now identify or can now identify as Negroes, or that we can identify them as Negroes because there's no different. You can't see a difference in them. When the slaves would run away from the slaveholders, they would run into the native tribes and they couldn't tell them apart. They couldn't tell who was who.
Well,
When the Boston Tea Party happened, them brothers painted themselves with coal when they went on that boat to look like the natives. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm from the long-haired clan of the Cherokees, and I mean, there's a lot of different clans, but my clan is one of the only ones that took in, accepted into the tribe, like slaves and prisoners of war, things like that. So we have all, you know, we have all different colors and all that. I mean, when I was a kid, I was as dark as he is in the summertime. I just don't go in the sun.
But isn't this shit beautiful? When you really think back and look at it, I know people, it's a touchy subject when we talk about slavery and we talk about what happened with the natives and we talk about all this shit. And it gets touchy if you identify with it. It was real touchy with me for a very long time. I still get mad when people say something that is inaccurate and they, you know, they happen to be white and they say some shit that I just disagree with. It makes me spaz out. You know what I'm saying? But it got to get me to that point. Like I can talk about slavery. I just can't talk about inaccuracies. And the beauty of it all is, though, is that you have people that are native up here right now. You have people that are super fucking white, like this Caucasoid next to me. And
hey, excuse you.
And then
I have to remove him from the panels.
You can play that.
He removed you.
You can play that game.
I will fix this real quick.
You ain't gonna fix shit.
No, you know, I respect Big like what you're saying, and I know we've gotten kind of amped on this conversation. But 100%. One of the things that I think that is great about this whole thing, as far as us discussing this, is like, man, that is the American way. That
exactly
is
what I was getting to.
That's what makes this country such a great place, and that's what us being able to argue, disagree about this, that, and the third. But that's why Americans need to be first. Is because, man, this is ours. You know what I mean? We can argue amongst each other as Indians, as blacks, as whites, as, you know, as Spanish, Mexican, whatever. We can argue with each other, but at the end of the day, we got to put each other first. You know, we can argue and disagree with these things.
And Israel needs to pay reparations. I'm sticking by that. Israel needs to pay.
Stop.
I'm starting a movement.
No.
Israel needs to pay.
No.
Nobody needs to pay reparations. I mean, literally, my actual family is owed like 1 million acres of land in Texas. And I mean, you can't just go take people's land and give it to, I mean,
let's try and add this to positivity, man. Let's keep this going to positive direction.
We need to all unite as Americans under the American flag and on the Constitution. That is it, period, the end. The American flag and the Constitution.
And Israel reparations.
Stop, Cash. This is the part that I wanted to bring up is history. We go back in history. We have not had another country conquer another country's land in a very long time. We are close to seeing potentially Russia and Ukraine, how that whole thing works out. But that is probably the closest anybody on this panel will ever see of another country taking another country's land.
It's not even the same because it used to be Russia.
I understand that, but I'm not getting into the details of that. All I'm saying is we don't do that in 2000s of this world and this earth that we are circling this sun. And yes, we are a globe, Cash. We are not a flat earth. However, that when it comes to this entire thing,
from the mountains,
the important part of what we're talking about is there can be a difference of opinion. We can respect everybody for what they think and where they're coming from, and everybody has a little bit more knowledge than the other. Like, I don't have a lot of the knowledge that you three are talking about the racial stuff or our history when it comes to that, because I don't care. If we are all American and we were born on this land, we apply to the same laws, and that is our border, and that is where it applies to us. And that's where I'm going to stand up and fight for anybody that is in my country and is a U.S. citizen. I will fight right next to you, regardless of your skin color. It doesn't matter.
I agree with that, man. And that's I think that's kind of echoing what SK said. And I, and also what Cash is talking about with a little additive sprinkle, which I don't necessarily fully disagree with, but not the point. But on that tip, man, you're so right, man. Like, all of us are right. We can talk about this, we can argue, but man, that's why I think nationalism is so important. I believe that nationalism, those liberals have made it seem like a bad word, but man, loving this country and loving what this country's about and loving that Constitution. I said it, I think our last show, is that we haven't necessarily actualized those principles. We've not reached those, but there's some phenomenal principles, man. And if we can, as a people, get to it, we'll be in a great place, man.
All right, so we're about to have to get up out of here, but I want to talk about something real quick before we get off. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I got to talk about it because, we did get derailed and we've been on here an hour longer than we're supposed to.
Facts.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I can do this all night.
Yeah, this is great. Okay, so on the screen right here, you guys, Streetlights Unity Movement's first annual Christmas drive. As you can see, we have already made it past half of our goal already, and that a lot of it came from yesterday. I got the list of names of people who have donated. I'm going to be giving you a shout out to probably tomorrow. I want to create a nice post for you guys. I appreciate all of y'all that have went to the site and gave. It's right there in the chat. You guys can see it. It's givebutter.com. And thank you. We're adopting families this year, underprivileged kids that come from places like where I come from. We're trying to give back. We trying to give back. We don't discriminate by color, Kaecey, by the way. I know you're real racist. So I just want to put that out there. We don't discriminate. We're looking out for as many families as we possibly could, man. If you guys can keep on giving. All right. I'm trying to raise 2,000. I want to exceed that goal. The goal is to exceed that goal. We went small because I was being insecure, like maybe we ain't going to hit it. I believe we're going to hit this goal, and I believe we're going to exceed this goal. All right. And all funds will be going to these kids, man, to these families. So just so you all are aware of that. Thank you guys that have donated, and thank you for everybody who is going to donate. Also, I want to talk about awakenotwokestore.com. You guys need to go there if you want to get any of the merch that we have in our store. All right. It is the way that we battle against woke ideologies and all this, crazy stuff that's in the world today. Yeah, we battle with that by putting out merchandise that battles against it. Phrases that I think everybody would love, especially the Unite, Don't Fight, the Live Every Day like it's 9/12/01. They both suck because both parties do actually suck. That's actually a fact. Awake Not Woke hats. We got it all. We got revenge. Trump's face. We got that. We got it all. Go and check it out. You guys can get 20% off at checkout if you enter Truth. All right. Enter Truth at checkout for 20% off. That's all I got for you guys, except for you want to shop American made, go to Awake Not Woke store. I'm sorry. freedomboxinfo.com. Go there. A lot of you all have. I've reached out to a whole bunch of people this morning. I'll be doing that again every day. I'm reaching back out. So if you fill out that job form at freedomboxinfo.com, I'm reaching out to you in 24 hours. That's a fact. And it'll be between 12 and 1 p.m. So 12 to 1 p.m. I'm making phone calls. I'm on you. We're going to talk. We could FaceTime. We could do that. So ladies, make sure you got your makeup on. I know you don't want me to see you looking ratchet, but it's okay if you do look ratchet. I'm still going to call anyway and tell you you're beautiful. So make it happen. Go to freedomboxinfo.com. Right. That's all I got. Go ahead, Kaecey.
The big thing I also want to highlight, like Cash, your segue was great, but when we're talking about streetlights and the Unity movement, it is a 501c3 tax deductible donation. It is also Giving Tuesday. That was going to be my segue to Giving Tuesday and best way we can be able to help other Americans and other people in the community and take care of them on Giving Tuesday is today by giving to a tax deductible nonprofit organization that is ran by Cash, multiple of us that are on the board, and we will take care of people in the community and make sure that they have a great Christmas, like all of us do experience on Christmas. So
Yes,
please, if you can, the links in the comments. I will actually be making a post. I was planning to do it after this show. It will also be on my X, so you guys will see it. Please go out and help out. This is our first annual. We're going to be doing this all the time.
yes,
More that we can help the community, and we're going to start spreading this out throughout the country. So this year, we're going to start running with it. You'll see more of it. I promise.
yes. So, you guys.
Let's go ahead and wrap up the show because we've gone on over well over. But
Final
honestly, it was a great conversation. Like I really loved it. The big thing is we got to also remember everybody gets passionate about their topics. Like 2A, sensitive topic with me, Smoke, and many others. Cash definitely will give up your guns. All three of us will counteract that. That's okay. But when it comes down to it, we'll just all here to share our opinions, have a good time, and bring people along with us.
It's kind of gotten back to what it was before. I mean, this is how it used to be. We used to have heated discussions on here, and it was great. I love this. It's getting back.
Whatever, Cash. I was told by every follower while you were gone, Cash wouldn't do this. So
no, Cash wouldn't do what y'all was doing because you know why? Because Kaecey, I got multiple complaints about you being a complete racist. You showed up in a KK in the triple K robe. I heard about it. I heard how you came on screen and you had on your Grand Wizard uniform. I told you you only wear that shit in the house. You don't come outside wearing that, Kaecey.
Hey, oh god! The sheets need to go into the laundry room. Sorry, I'm short. I'm short.
All these jokes would have been for Russo, but he's not here, so I got to give them to you now.
Well, he's Italian. He doesn't count.
He's not Italian. He wears a yarmulke. Okay, he's a rabbi. All right.
Oh man, y'all rapid fire right here at the end. Rapid fire.
I want to let everybody close out, but I want to say the last word. All right, so we'll go with SK first, ladies first. Go ahead, SK. Final thoughts. Tell people where they can follow you at and whatever you want America to know.
Yeah, first of all, I want you to know that I will die for your right to carry those guns and have those bump stocks and not have your rights infringed. And now my dogs, they haven't barked the entire time, and now they're going to bark. Holy shit. Hold on. I'm going to mute for just a second.
Smoke. Oh, okay. I thought you was leaving. All right. Go ahead, SK. Moment of silence for SK.
Well, my dogs were barking, and I didn't want to bark in people's ears.
You're good.
But, okay, sorry. So my main account on TikTok is SK_. My backup account is SK_33. On X, I'm SK_33. I just started a YouTube, so you probably can't find me on YouTube. Next weekend, I have some exciting content coming up, and it has to do with this book. And you can get this book all about Hunter Biden. Look how big it is. It's got everything in it that you need to know, all 459 crimes it's did. And you can get it at bidenreport.com. if you want to get that for yourself. It's not a coffee table book. If you have kids, make sure you put it up somewhere. It is definitely not family friendly. And a fun fact, he used the picture of Hunter whenever he was getting his veneers done. His mouth, he took just his mouth, and that's what he uses to censor the pictures in this book. So it's hilarious. Huge troll move. But yeah, that's about it. I just debate politics and I keep up with current events, and I'm trying to figure out X. I've been working on that for the last couple of weeks, and that's about it.
Smoke.
Thanks for having me.
You're always gonna be here now, SK. You're stuck. Go ahead, Smoke.
I love it.
Hey man, Smoke Pole TV on all platforms. My two biggest platforms are YouTube and Instagram. All you got to do is just take the space out of Smoke Pole TV, just all one word on Instagram. That's a lot of fun because I put out a lot of quick content on there. Smoke Pole TV, just the way you see it on YouTube. Definitely subscribe. I'm really new to X. So you guys, and I think Creole Queen, she's been a blessing, as well as Cash. You guys have really helped me, develop some sort of movement on X, but I'm very new to that. And TikToks, they're like Nazis on this stuff. So anytime I have a gun, they ban me. So any help you guys can do, I put out some really good content. So definitely follow me, and really appreciate just being around a good group of people that don't walk lockstep and kick their shit. So man, I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for having me on.
You already know. Kaecey, go for it.
We all know what I'm gonna say.
Don't trust the
when it comes down
government.
to this entire thing, that don't trust the government. Like we just cannot trust the government. And when it comes down to this entire thing, the part that I wanted to emphasize about Joe Biden pardoning Hunter, we already touched on it slightly, but be on the lookout of everything this lame duck president is going to be doing with the administration while they have the power. We got to be looking at every little thing that they're to be doing, because this is a scary time to give somebody power or the shadow government this open power.
Man, that's
I
powerful.
heard that. And for me, guys, this is what I want to say. I appreciate all of y'all tuning in. All right, I really do. SK, Kaecey, Smoke, I love y'all. I know, I used to be a real live street nigga, man. I'm not that no more. I've changed. I got kids. I've calmed down a lot, but conversation sometimes gets heated. And when that does happen, you have to excuse nigga Cash, okay? You have to excuse him. I just want to apologize to y'all for getting so ramped up. But
no, you ain't gotta apologize.
Listen,
at the same time, I want to tell all of y'all to kiss my ass. So
I was getting ready to say, I don't know what I can say on here, because whenever I lose my shit, I get ratchet too. So
no, I'm just
okay.
joking. But no, seriously, man, I really love doing this with you guys. I think that this is a good fit. And I would like to keep this thing going just like it is, man. This is dope. I love y'all. All right. To all the viewers, I love you guys. Thank you for the love. Right now, we got 2,700 people watching us, 2,700 plus. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for sharing this thing out. And if you haven't already, please go and follow every one of these patrons that you see up here on the screen. Show them some love in their comment section. Help them get huge. All right. We got to help each other grow. And if you guys that are watching, if you're trying to start your own channel and you're trying to do your own thing, let us know, because I think what I want to do going forward is I want to bring people up that are trying to start platforms the same way I did before and help you grow your platform. All right. So if that's you, reach out and say, yo, I would be interested in doing a show with you guys. All right. Let us know so we can start scheduling y'all in. Or if you have an idea for someone else that is a bigger influencer that you're in contact with and you want us to do a collab, reach out to them so we could bring them in. Okay. And with that, I bid you all a great night with this. Unite. Don't fight. Be a street light, because only you can be the change you wish to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, you got to remember to pray, America, because without God, everything falls apart. And that's a fact. Woo! Yeah, brother. And Israel needs to pay reparations to whites, blacks, and natives. That's all I got.
Put your pants back on.
It's the truth. Israel, I'm going to say it again. Israel needs to pay reparations for whites, blacks, and natives.
Oh, God.